Probably wants a little higher than that.
What's that?
I probably wants a little higher than that. I dropped it down a little bit just because my knees were feeling a little weird because I was sitting a little high.
Gotcha.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Because I look taller than you, but your hat's on, so it makes looks because it kind of
Yeah.
blends in.
Yeah.
The black kind of blends in. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that is your head. Okay, I thought maybe your head stopped there. That's kind of weird.
It's gonna really flat.
Yeah. I was like, that doesn't look right, man. Are you okay? Are you okay? It's like what?
All right.
It's like freaking me out. It's so weird.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. We are back in a new location. I know it doesn't look like a new location, but it's a new location.
Completely different.
It's completely different.
You see this? This is completely different. Well, actually, it's the same. It's just in a completely different place.
Yes.
Not like physically here, but like the physical Earth
Yes.
place.
Yes, the window's over there now.
Windows over there. So the sun will be coming in this way.
Yeah.
And today's a little cloudy, so it's not
Yeah.
working.
Yeah, this is about to start raining too, I think.
Yeah, it was
So,
sprinkling a little bit when we came in.
Yeah.
They don't care about that.
Yeah.
It's not raining where they are, maybe. I don't know.
All right. So, welcome back to Movie Monday, everybody. Welcome back to the Realcast Podcast. I'm your host, Mikey McBlam, with my co-host, William the Movie Fan.
Movie fan right here.
Thanks for joining me, man. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I got my Sam Jackson going on here.
I see that. Very much so. That's kind of early mid or not.
Yeah, like mid 2000s.
Yeah, it's like right after Patriot Games when he kind of lost some of the hair going on there. 'Cause
Yeah.
Patriot Games, you can see he's a little balding. Then after that, he kind of shaved it. So he put a hat on first, as all bald guys do. Then the shave thing comes later.
Yes, but I'm not balding. I still have my hair.
He still got.
My
He has
hair
some
is
really
still
cool.
here.
Yeah, he has some really cool hair going on. The other day. So that was really pretty
Yeah,
cool.
had the spike going up
Yeah,
because
it's great.
our boy got married.
JoJo.
Yes, yes, he got married. It's official. He is officially hitched.
Yeah.
They are in Busch Gardens right now as we're speaking.
Yep. Hopefully
So-
not raining on him.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully having a good time out there. Got to take care of their cat today, so that was fun.
Is his real name? Is that his real name?
What's that?
Was that his real name? Thundercat? Is that his real name?
No, I called him the Thundercat.
Okay.
What is his Panthro?
Oh, is it? Yeah, it is Panther. It is
yeah.
Panther.
Yeah.
Right. And if you know anything about Thundercats, Panther supposedly is the black Thundercat, I guess. I don't know. I mean, he's a cat. He's a panther. And, not all panthers are black, but I don't know. But anyway, it's funny, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he also likes nunchucks, so that's a thing. I don't know. Yeah. Cat's pretty good at it, too. He's a young cat. So he's still working on it. He's a kitten.
Yes. Yes, I hear you, computer. You can stop beeping at me now.
Your computer's jealous. You want to play with a cat?
You want to play with a cat, not me? What's going on, man?
I know.
So,
I got a mouse. You can play with me. I got a mouse.
So today it is October.
It is.
And this would technically be our Halloween spooktacular, but all the scary movies came out in September and November.
Because we just saw a movie and we're like, wait a minute. And he's like, why are all the scary movies come out in November? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was just like, okay.
That's a good question.
Fine,
No idea.
that's the way you want to do it. Okay. So I guess call the movie we watched today a little bit spooky, or
it was disturbing.
Disturbing,
It
definitely.
was very disturbing.
Definitely.
It was
So we're going to bring you
very
two reviews today.
disturbing.
We're going to be giving you Joker,
Yep.
2019,
Yep.
and Ad Astra.
Ad Astra.
It was something a little different. Still sci-fi, so still in the nerd culture realm. So,
Oh, yeah.
So we got two movies to talk about. We're gonna start with the Joker.
Start laughing.
Yeah,
We'll start happy.
Put on a
happy face first.
Yes. Oh gosh,
That hurts. You shouldn't. I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
doesn't really work.
Yeah, I guess his face is a little more.
I'm a sad clown.
Yeah, I think his face is a little more, I guess, malleable.
Yes, so. That hurts the lips, man.
Yeah, I don't even have a picture of that. I was hoping I did. But yeah, we saw Joker today, and we left the theater very. I would say you felt a little bit weirded out.
Weird, uncomfortable.
Yes, very uncomfortable.
Little dirty. Not. I mean, like kind of like. I don't know.
Yeah.
Trey was like, he says, I feel funky.
Yes.
He's like, yeah. But I was like, I told him, I said, that's not a movie you want to walk out of feeling good.
No.
You should feel uncomfortable and like, I don't like,
Yes.
I mean, it's not like you had a fun time.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't even, it's going to come out the wrong way, but it's like, I don't think you would have an enjoyable time in terms of, I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely get you.
And I should feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
You should feel not right.
Yes. Yeah, and that's exactly if just watching the movie, I'm like, that's exactly what they were going for.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't trying to make you feel good. They weren't trying to make you feel like, this is a movie like you should root for this character.
Yep.
In certain cases you feel bad for them. Don't get me wrong, but
Yes.
This isn't one of those feel good movies. Do not go in expecting that.
No.
Realistically, go in. Just if you go in with the expectations of like, if you really think about it, it's the Joker.
Yeah.
It's the Joker. I think that's kind of, if you know your Batman lore and you know who this character is and what he's done, just going with those expectations, I think you'll be okay. You'll be okay. You probably still won't feel right after you lift.
No, you won't.
But,
and I will say Joaquin Phoenix is known for his strange movie picks. I mean, do you remember a couple of years ago he was on The Tonight Show with the beard and just acting very awkward and stuff?
Right.
I mean, it was kind of a PR stunt or something. I don't know. It was just weird.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of, I guess, preparing him for the role, I guess way before the role was even, I guess, a possibility. Just acting strangely. I mean, but I don't know. I think it was just some kind of shtick going on there or something. But
yeah, probably so. No, that was somebody else. That was it was actually a publicity stunt when they did that. It wasn't Joaquin.
Oh, wasn't?
I don't. Wait, was it Joaquin that was a publicity stunt?
I think it was because he had like, unless it was, no, it wasn't Shia LaBeouf. I was thinking with a big beard and something.
Yeah.
But I think it was him. If we're wrong, let us know.
Yeah.
But I want to say he was on because there was something about he wasn't going to act anymore.
Right. Okay,
then,
so it was him.
Yeah,
and
then he was on that the Tonight Show and we were talking to him and he just wasn't like really responding or answering. It was just weird. I don't know. It was very similar to this role in a way. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely pulls off. He's not right. He's not right. He's not well. I shouldn't say not right. He's not well.
No.
He is very mentally ill.
Yep.
And he really pulls that off very well.
Right.
And I would say that this Joaquin Phoenix as an actor in this particular role, and I'm going to say the same thing later on when we talk about Ad Astra, but I forgot I was watching him. You're thinking like, you're watching Arthur, the character he's playing.
Totally.
You're just like, you just completely forget that
he was totally playing that character.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like performance-wise, he does a really good job. He
Yes.
does a really good job. We might have a little bit of discussion later, maybe towards the end. It's just like, who we still, we're going to talk about
rank the Jokers or
we'll
something,
see best movie Joker or whatever that we'll talk about.
I will say I'd never heard the laugh until we saw the movie.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple of times it was really, really good. I mean, obviously it wasn't the imitation of the other laughs. It was his own, obviously.
Right.
But there was a couple of times when he was like that really high pitched cackle.
Yes.
I think that one instant, like when he was walking out of the thing and he just stopped laughing like that.
Yes.
But that one and another time he hit kind of that perfect maniacal kind of laughter.
The pitch, yeah.
And it wasn't at any time that you should have felt awkward. It wasn't like he just hardly murdered somebody or something. But like that scene was, he was just walking to the office to talk to the
boss,
the head clown boss guy. And then he just stopped laughing that quick. It was just a little weird because I obviously was faking it, but it just was really good.
Yes.
I was like, dang, I was like, wow.
Exactly. So I have to give a really, really big ups to the cinematography.
Yes.
I mean, it is, when we say like you're going to feel uncomfortable,
yes,
they do just immaculate job.
Yeah.
They do an immaculate job, just like looking at some of the imagery, some of the way they close up on stuff. And a lot of this goes to Joaquin Phoenix, like we were talking about earlier before we started recording here. It's just like, you see him laughing, him smiling here, but his eyes are completely dead.
His eyes are dead. His eyes aren't, or even not really dead, but also just kind of like, I don't know, confused, like not, I don't know. It's almost like he shouldn't, his eyes say he shouldn't be laughing, but he's laughing.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's and it's almost like a the way he kind of portrays it. It's almost like he's laughing along, because if you notice, in that scene, he always laughed before or after the audience. It was like he wasn't really sure which part was the joke.
He didn't know when to laugh.
Right. Exactly.
Because they laughed, and he was like, "Why are they laughing?" Then he would laugh at something that wasn't the punchline or something.
Exactly.
But it was quiet. And then one time he tried to laugh, and then they laughed, and then he laughed again to try to laugh with them. The gritty look of it.
Yes.
The man, because like when he was on the bus and he had his head against the thing, and you see all like, you saw the dirt and the grime on the window.
Right.
When they were showing pictures of him like in the gutter, you know, where the kids were beat him up. It was dirty and filthy, and you saw the water and the street grime, and I mean the trash in the alleyway lining it, the whole setup.
Yeah, they definitely went back to New York in the definitely in the 90s. I could say that much. It was, but they really captured like the, you know, like
the dirtiness,
the dirt and grit of Gotham City.
Yep.
You know, the one that what you always hear about.
Yep.
And I mean, no offense to like you know, the later Batman films from the Burton area, not Burton area era.
Yeah.
No offense to those films, but I mean that
near
was
Burton Town,
and these were technically Schumacher films or whatever.
Yeah,
but you know, that I would say like that first movie was probably closer to what they represented here,
right?
Because it was dark, it was dirty, it wasn't safe. You know, you didn't feel like, you know, there's a hustle bustle, and there's like, you know, people getting robbed, people getting, you know, beat up, literally beat up, and people are just kind of like going along their way. They're like, hey, look, I ain't got time for this. I don't want to get involved or whatever, but. It really, like, they did a good job with that. They did a good job, like, making the city feel like, you know, like Gotham City. Like Gotham City should feel like, you know, obviously pre-Batman. And when they see, like, when you hear all of this talk, like, oh, this city is so sick and stuff, I was like, well, yeah, here it is. Here it is. Here's the real streets.
Well, the weird fluorescent lighting, and then, like, the dark, like, bathroom lighting or the apartment lighting, especially in places like the elevator where the light was flickering, and you know, different places like that. The hallway seemed really stark. Like when he went and he came into his building to check the mail in that cage, I was like, why is there? I thought it was a holding cell. I was like, why is there a holding cell? Is this kind of like, you know, Judge Dredd kind of thing or something? But yeah, I guess it was a cage around. I guess they locked it up so no one breaks in the mailboxes at night. I guess I don't know. But yeah, then he goes to check the mail, and the whole scene kind of, I guess the camera's kind of set up in the corner, and you kind of see the thing, and it looks, you know, just there's nothing in there. It's very stark, but also kind of dirty. The lighting's this is weird because we've seen other movies with it's really low lighting, but this lighting was well enough to see everything, but not so bright as to look clean and happy.
Exactly.
It was kind of, you know, kind of light. I would say light of the downtrodden almost. It was like, you know, you could see it, but it was sort of off a little bit, and made everything look a little dingier and darker, and not clean, and you know, kind of like that right there. So it was just everything was well lit and well shot. I mean, even though it was supposed to look dark, it didn't look dark. It felt dark, and it had spots like it was in a bathroom at the one scene. But with a flickering light, and you know how the bathroom looked dark in spots, and so it was just the way they set it up. Man, I gotta give you it looked great.
Yes,
when it was outside, it looked brighter, but the streets still looked dirty.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's almost like you think about like how like certain movies are done and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, they'll clean up and everything. It was just like they got there just like, don't clean up anything.
Right. Well, here's a perfect example. People were saying about the new Aladdin movie with Will Smith. They said that the city of Agrabah, I think it's called, in the animated movie, they said it looked a little dirty-ish, but it was animated, so it didn't look like dirty right now. But they said that the live action looked like a Hollywood set, looked way too clean to be kind of a big city and the kids growing up in the gutter or whatever.
Right.
This one looked dirty.
Yes.
I mean, it did. And like I said, even though there was and it's funny because it was a garbage strike going on, nowhere where they filmed that I can recall that when they were on the street, you didn't see dirt, debris, trash bags.
Right.
Like when he was running, there was like mounds of trash because of this. You see garbage truck going on.
Mhm.
So everywhere you went in the city, it was dirty looking.
Right. Right.
You know, it was dirty looking.
Exactly. And like going back on the lighting, like I said, there's a lot of purposeful lighting.
Yep.
You know, and if you're, I guess if you're a filmmaker, watch this,
Yeah.
watch this movie, and just like look
Absolutely.
at how the shots are set up, and how
Right.
the lighting is set up, and how it makes it work into the scene and everything.
Right.
Because
but you go ahead, keep going.
because you know, like I was saying, like with purposeful lighting and stuff, like I said, nothing was ever lit to look like it was to look like it was bright and happy or anything like that. Nothing was lit that way. And if it had that kind of feel to it, it wasn't real.
Well, see, but here's the thing. Like, I was going to bring it with this one and compare it to the picture you just had up of Joaquin up a second
Yeah.
ago. So if you look at the picture of the Joker, you can pull that back up.
Okay.
Or pull her up. Either one. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So when you pull up and you look at him in the scene where he's in a nightclub laughing, like you said,
Okay.
his face is, or his mouth is laughing and his face is smiling, but his eyes are very, like you said, dead.
Sorry, it's being slow. There we go.
There we go. Yeah. So, and here's the other thing. Pull back up there. So he's centrally framed on the screen. So it's obviously focused on him and him alone.
right.
So in a way, you kind of think, and like everything else is blurred. Like if you see a person in the background, they're not smiling. You can kind of see a blur, but they're not laughing. They're maybe smiling, maybe enjoying themselves because it's a nightclub, it's a comedy club. But when you go pull back up Zazzie's picture, for example, like you said, her image was she was smiling, and also her eyes are smiling.
Right.
But also look at the shot. So in this one, she's off centered to the right to the viewer, which draws your attention. Means hey, something should be to the left.
Right.
So in other words, she's looking at something, and so your attention is to her, but she's looking off, kind of like in a painting.
Right.
Like if you see the people over here and they're looking that way, you typically want to look that way and go, what are they looking at? Which kind of instills an image of something happening that's kind of happening off, and it gives you kind of a more of a it gets you more invested in the image. It's like, well, what's going on over there? What are they looking at?
Right.
Kind of you want to see it too. Kind of like looking at a painting of a road going off in the distance. You're like,
Right.
where does it go?
Right.
It's like
Exactly.
it's mysterious, but it's inviting, and it's also like, well, it's a different kind of like kind of like Robert Frost poem, the two paths in the woods. Is like, which way do you go? So when you look at this picture of her, she's smiling, she's happy, and by her being on one side of the frame, you get the impression that there's something else on the other side of the frame going to come into frame,
Right.
like a guy or even like a kid or something, like she's smiling at her daughter or whatever, and then you see someone else comes in the frame.
Right.
Does that make sense? So that draws you in, kind of like, oh, she's happy and she looks happy. Her face and her eyes are happy, but at the same time, it's almost like you're the other person in that. So there's like a rapport there.
Right.
So that kind of draws you in. So that's really cool. Like you said, in terms of how it was staged and set up, it looked a super contrast of her being a caring person and him kind of being completely out of touch with interaction and how emotions work. But you see his uncomfortableness of, I want to laugh, but I don't know how or when.
Exactly.
So it's like in fact, his eyes, like you said, they're dead. They are, but I think also they're kind of searching of like, well, how should I feel? He's clueless.
Right.
I think his
Right.
eyes are like, I want to do something, but I don't know what. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah. And that's the kind of the framing in general
Yes.
of him, and like, when he's the focus of things, like on the bus, for example, obviously he's a little more well lit because he's the focus of the bus, but there's all these people on the bus, and the lady and the kid are up front, and then there's action going on, but then you see him being sad in the bus or something,
Right.
and trying to make the kid laugh, and the kid's looking at him and laughing, and he's like, quit bothering my kid,
Yeah.
and he's like, I wasn't. Just leave him alone. And he's like, what?
Which was funny because I'm like, technically the kid's bothering him. 'Cause
I know.
The kid's staring
I'm like,
at him.
yeah. I mean, the kid's like,
Little pouty lip.
yeah, he's like,
I'm like, just make your kid sit down.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't doing anything wrong in
No.
that particular
no,
scenario.
again, no.
Yeah.
And So what else were you gonna say? You were saying something else.
But I guess there was one thing I did want to add here. It's like you can actually, because we talked about like, you know, how focused he was. He does look here.
Yep.
You know, maybe this is our film snob coming out a little bit here, but you see how focused, look how clear he is.
Yep.
And remember when I said like there's parts in this movie that are not real.
Yeah.
Look at how
she's got a softer,
not clear.
She's got a softer focus.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So it's almost like dreamlike.
Yeah.
So So like stuff like that is just like, okay. Yeah. Like I said, purposeful lighting, the way they shot it, very purposeful. Like I said, if you're an upcoming filmmaker, you want to watch this.
Yeah.
You want to watch this because there's a lot of great camera work in here. I think. So how did you feel about the comedy? Because there was some comedy in here.
There was,
but it's like
you didn't know if you should laugh.
Exactly.
Is what the thing was because it was first of all, I will say, the music choices, the cello music of the instrumentals when he was kind of going on the dark thing. It was like kind of off key, like an off key music, not off key as in bad, but off key as in not a key you expected it to be in. And the use of cello music a lot of times, like say in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, gives you that sense of sorrow. And so that cello music was perfect because it gave you that sense of sorrow of, hey, you should feel bad about this. And you did. But I mean, the music just kind of like was the ice cream on top of that cake of like, wow, I feel uncomfortable. And that music, the way it drew out, was like, you know, it made you feel more uncomfortable because sometimes the note was held so long, you were like, man, I feel really uncomfortable about this. And I was like, yeah, so not only were you visually uncomfortable, but your ears, and again, it was kind of like that whole ambiance of making you feel, kind of like when we play games and I have that kind of that darker music playing in the background, those instrumentals. It's like, everybody's like, wow, that feels really, you know, So it sets an ambiance of what's going on. But that's the thing with, you know, you got good acting, you got good, you know, dialogue, good characters, of course, and motivations and whatnot. But then you also get the scenery and the music. And if you kind of mess up on any one of those, sometimes it kind of takes you out of it. And you go like, well, this is really good. But then that weird music comes. I will say the juxtaposition of some of the music, you know, like using the old music, like the Jimmy Durante Smile.
Right.
You know, it's like smile and the world smiles with you, you know.
Yes.
And I'm like, that is great because a lot of times they will do that in movies that are good, that they'll bring up a song you wouldn't expect, but it's like kind of like when we do blind line in improv.
Right.
Is like now at our last show, Anthony told me, he says, I really have to pee. And then the first line I read was something like, oh, you can just go to the bathroom wherever you want. And at that moment, he looks at me and goes like, I hate you. His eyes go, I hate you. And I showed him the line. He went, I really hate you. And that was perfect because you didn't.
Yeah, it just,
I was trying so hard not to laugh at that because he had just said that to me. And that was the first line I pull out. And so this is kind of the thing is like the music they played was so contrasting to what was going on in the movie. At least the actual kind of the pop, you know, popular music, not the instrumentals or orchestral music, but sort of the singing music stuff. Yeah. You know, like this Frank Sinatra stuff and Jimmy Durante and whatever. It really helped set the tone of the movie and the scenes. But yeah, there were some moments of laughter, not that we thought it was like so over the top, it was bad. It was, there was a moment in when he killed somebody, and the other guy was like, "Oh my God," you know. He's like, but that's of course, again, not justifying anything the character does in the movie, obviously. But I'm saying I can understand why he did that at that time, not because the guy just was some guy he wanted to kill, because that guy basically helped get him fired,
exactly,
and he already needed the job to take care of himself and mostly his mother, and so. The guy said, well, don't tell anybody about the gun I'm giving him. But then he apparently tells the guy that he gave him a gun. And I don't know why he would have said that, but okay, fine. So then, he kind of already was like, all right, I'm going to, you know, because he kind of ratted the guy back out. He goes, well, you gave me the gun. Oh, I never paid you for that. That's right.
Exactly.
And so then the guy was like, Rrr. So then later, you know, after he murders his mother, which again, I'm not justifying why he did it, but I can say like, as a character, his mother lied to him his whole life.
Yeah.
And he never knew about any of this, probably because of injuries he had, or also just kind of maybe he never dealt with it. So he pushed out all that stuff down, and all this stuff coming out from the abuse he suffered and all that stuff. That, and again, I'm not justifying any of this. But I'm saying is that really happens to people.
Yeah.
Is they'll push down that stuff, and it will manifest itself in some way. And it will manifest itself in like a nervous tic, or it might manifest itself in sort of a mental illness.
And in his case, the nervous tic is his laughter.
Yeah. And I mean, because like,
And
now again, I don't feel myself as a I don't believe I'm mentally disturbed, but I think all mentally disturbed people, I won't say they're not, but like a lot of people will sit there and like their legs will bounce around like he did in this. I mean, it's just, and I got nervous energy sometimes, and that's just nothing about, whatever. But I've been through tragedies in my life. I get that. And I know sometimes that kind of bleeds into stuff, but then again, you have to kind of move past that or accept it and know like, well, that's part of you.
Right.
And you get it and you understand it, but you have to analyze that. You can't push it down because it will come back up.
Yep.
But yeah, there's that part where the coworker,
his former coworker,
the little person who came over to, nice guy, console him about his death of his mother. Now he didn't know he killed his mother. He didn't know he smothered a pillow. But he says, "Oh, we're sorry to hear that." So when he kills the friend and he had already locked the chain, you thought, well, they're both going to die.
Right.
And he goes, "Hey, no, you're fine. You can go." And so then the guy goes to walk up the door and he can't reach the chain. And people started like, and I didn't want to laugh, but I was like. Because again, that's wrong.
Yeah, but it was just like
it's a sight gag, is what that is. That's a sight gag.
Yeah,
it's like okay, you got a little guy who can't reach the chain,
and he's like, hey man, can you unlock the
sure?
thing?
And he's like, sure, because then he put the hand against the door, and then Trey was like, oh, he's just gonna say that and kill the guy anyway. He goes, and he puts his hand against the door. He's like, looks down at him. He's like, you're the only one ever liked me, and he kisses him on the head. He goes, see you later, and then he closes the door, and then the guy's like. I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah,
and because you did.
Yeah,
I mean, you really did. You're like, oh man, he's gonna kill a little guy. And here's the thing, you felt bad for the English guy, the coworker.
Yeah,
the little,
you did.
Guy.
Yeah,
because the little person. I'm not saying a little guy is derogatory, but like little person. Some people back in the day it was called dwarfism. It's still called dwarfism.
Yeah, still called dwarfism.
But people wouldn't call him a dwarf or a midget or whatever. I mean, it's kind of the PC language, whatever.
Yeah.
The person of small stature who has some sort of whatever malformity to give him dwarfism, whatever you call it, was really genuinely nice to him.
Yes.
And you saw that. He was like, hey, how's it going? Hey, Arthur, good to see you. He's like, hey, how's it going? So that guy was generally nice to him. You saw that. The other guys kind of ribbed him a little bit, but the other guy didn't. Probably because he understands because, hey, he's a small person in a big person's world. He probably empathized with seeing that, hey, first of all, if you look at Arthur compared to the other guys, he did look a little kind of more gangly because he was really
wiry,
skinny. He was wiry. Seemed a little socially awkward. The other guys seemed more or less normal-ish. But I mean, again, I'm gonna say this in the nicest way. People who are involved in comedy aren't necessarily normal.
Sure.
And especially people who want to dress up as clowns. I would say they're really not normal. But that's just me. And I'm not saying that. I'm just as a joke. But but there were some awkward laugh moments-ish. But I don't think there were never any during the horrible bits.
Yes,
we didn't laugh when he killed the guy with the scissors.
Right.
We didn't laugh at that. We're like, because that was horrible. And
we
saw what was going to happen, but we didn't realize it was going to be that disturbing.
Yes,
and you were like, whoa.
Yes, there's some visceral violence in here.
Yes,
I'm not even honestly. Yes, there's some visceral violence. There's not as much as some people are may lead you to believe. It's not an action movie. This is a Logan or Deadpool.
It's
or
a psychological thriller drama kind of.
Yeah, I mean there are. Trust me, when the violence goes down, it goes down.
Yes.
But it's like it's used sparingly.
Right.
And this is something that I actually commend them on because you can have those. There was never a comedic scene that undercut the tension of the moment. If anything, the fact that you may have laughed at something was almost like may have been like a nervous laugh or an uncomfortable laugh.
Right.
They brought something out of you that you didn't know that you had in you.
Right.
So. If anything, I would say that much about it, as far as the comedy goes.
Well, and here's the other thing about the scene where after he killed the guy and he let his friend go, because Trey even said, "Oh, they're gonna pretend like let him go and then not."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I thought they were gonna do that too." But
I
then,
did too. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Remember, it's the Joker.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of like I said about Cesar Romero's version and Mark Hamill's
Hamill.
animated version of Joker, is that scene where he's with Lex Luthor, and that Lex Luthor has stole like a bat suit and the bat belt, and he's trying to figure it out because it's a booby trap because only Batman knows how to use it. And the Joker goes, "What does this do?" And he pulls it, and he goes, "Don't do that, you fool!" And then he throws the thing he pulled, and it blows up, and he's in his spinning chair. He goes, "Woo!"
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, that was unexpected," or something. And so you don't know, like with Cesar Romero, yeah, that was a campier version, but he was demented.
Yeah, he's
and
still
his laughter,
very random.
Yeah, and he would do. I could see that character if they made it a little darker. I could see that character going, "Hey, instead of me doing something funny, I'm going to do something very homicidally destructive and murderous, and I'm just going to flip a coin or roll a dice and see what happens." He might pull out a gun and it go bang with a little thing, and he might pull a gun and blow your face off.
Exactly.
That's the thing. He was so unhinged.
Exactly.
And again, that's the first Joker I saw on TV is the reruns, Saturday afternoon with the campy Batman. And he had the biff and the pow and the zap or whatever was silly. But at the same time, when you saw him come on the screen, he was like, "Woo, woo, woo, ha, ha," and he was right in his face, and the whole thing. And I mean, even though the mustache was there, which kind of made it a little more weird. It's just, I don't know. He just got into the role so much that you just kind of said, okay, and the funny part was like with that, you would think, hey, he should be funny, but he wasn't really trying to be funny.
Exactly.
And he was laughing kind of like in this movie, not really knowing when to laugh at him made it kind of weird.
Yes.
Because like, as a clown, he's trying to be funny. He's like, well, I should laugh at some of it. And it's campy. I get that. But then like some of the things he did, you're like, that's kind of weird.
Yes.
So you felt a little odd. And so, but then with the Mark Hamill version, like I said, it's very similar in terms of just doing something random because he wants to. But at the same time, he has luck on his side or something, and he's able to kind of pull off some of that without actually killing himself.
Exactly. Exactly. And and like I said, I completely understand that.
Right.
Completely understand. It's just that, like I said, it's the uncomfortable nature of it, and like I said, with the uncomfortable laughter, like you may laugh just out of discomfort because you don't know what else to do. And because it's happening on screen, it's not happening in real life, you're not actually horrified at the situation or anything like that. So,
and can I say something since you're on that topic?
Yes.
Because a lot of people talk about this movie, and I watched some of the reviews, and I did that just to get kind of an idea.
Okay.
And again, so I kind of knew a little bit about the movie before I saw it. But at the same time, I don't really let that influence me. But I do like the comparison to kind of say like, well, what did I think compared to what somebody else think? And I don't let them influence me because I make my own decisions.
Right.
But people were saying, at least in a negative way, is like, oh, this is glorifying, a poor white man being oppressed or being pushed down or downtrodden or whatever. And I said to you guys, and I'm like, well, here's the thing, man. It doesn't matter, where this guy came from, what he looks like. You should feel bad that stuff like this happened to anybody.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who did. Now, I'm not justifying the character decisions at all.
Right.
But I'm saying all the lies, he's trying to do the right thing. And then that the scene he's in a hospital with sick kids with cancer or something as a clown trying to make them feel better. I'm like, at that moment you're like, that's a really nice thing to do. And Trey was like, well, he's going to pay for it. I go, yeah, but we're getting paid for our jobs too, but we're not in a hospital with kids going through cancer trying to make them laugh.
Yeah.
And as a clown, he ain't going to get paid that much money.
Yeah.
I mean, we get paid a lot because we work in the fields with you with tech stuff and Trey with tech stuff and me with just kind of, educational stuff, which again, education, that's not a lot of money in that. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but we're not in there, trying to cheer up sick kids or being around any real sick kids kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the fact that he's doing that and getting paid as a, very low wage as a clown because he wants to make people laugh, that's kind of a nice thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes you feel bad. It's like, dang. And then he gets fired and all these bad stuff happened. His mom lied to him. And like you said, his mom is, kind of like, why do you want to be a, and she didn't say it in a mean way. Why do you want to be you're not funny. She just kind of said, why do you want to?
Very matter-of-factually.
Yeah. She's like, well, why do you want to be a comedian? Aren't you supposed to be funny?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like in a hurtful way, but it was hurtful.
Yes.
But it wasn't like, well, you're not funny. That's stupid. I mean, she didn't put him down that way. She just was kind of like, but you're not funny. She said it that way,
Yes.
kind of like just to wake him up, like, you're not funny. But even though he's a clown,
Mm-hmm.
even though she said to him, you should put on this film, make people laugh. So I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like, that's kind of weird. So I felt bad for the character, and because I'd feel bad for anybody going through that.
Yeah.
No matter who they are.
Yes, this character does go through. He goes through a lot.
Yeah.
He goes through a lot, and I would say like even before, even if you take away like mental disability or mental health issues that the character already has, you take away that he still goes through a lot.
Right.
And it is it's the Killing Joke reference that I was glad they kind of put in there. It was a little Easter egg for the Batman fans and what have you. You okay?
Yeah. It's so chilly in here. I get little sniffles.
Gotcha. But yeah, like I was actually kind of cool that I thought it was cool that they incorporated the Killing Joke reference in there.
What was that? I don't know what
of
that
One
is.
Bad Day.
Oh,
Everybody has one bad day
day
that pushes you over the edge or whatever. And he kind of had like the hair because it was all wet and matted and everything like that. Now, granted, he didn't do the laugh or anything like that. Like he was going insane.
Right.
But it was true to what was actually going on. It was just like, I had a bad couple weeks. I'm like,
right.
He really did.
Yeah.
He really did. I mean, like like I said, take away his mental health issues. You take away all of that stuff. If I went through that, that's a hellish 2 weeks to go through.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah. I mean, okay. So I'm gonna a little personal thing here.
Yeah.
After I graduated from college, so like if you think of all the major things that happen in life, they talk about like birth of a child, a wedding, blah blah blah. So I graduated from college that year. My dog died right around Thanksgiving. My mom died 2 weeks later. Then it was Christmas. And then I lost my job the next year. So in about a year's time, I went through some very major things. Now, I didn't go crazy or whatever, but yeah, I had a pretty bad year. So yeah, that was a lot to carry on. And so that knocks the wind out of you.
Yes. Yes.
And you're talking about, you been homeless as a kid and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, and I had kind of some of that experience too with, your dad loses his job and you got no kind of place to live. So you're living in a rundown. For me, it was a rundown mobile home. For you, it was like as a rundown
Shelter.
apartment. A shelter. Here you go.
Yeah.
So it's like that stuff kind of, pushes you down. You hope it doesn't keep you down.
Right.
And so like with this character or anybody else, if you would have seen somebody going through this or if you heard about somebody going through this, you would go, oh my God, that's horrible that people go through that someone went through that. And if you could help them, you probably would. It's like when you see, people going through, hurricane disaster or earthquake disaster or something, you go, oh my gosh, that's terrible. It's so horrible. How can I help? But we're not justifying the character's actions as a result of what happened.
Right.
No, everybody would say, oh, no, you're not supposed to do that.
Yes, exactly.
So that's the difference of, because people were saying, like, oh, they're showcasing the poor white man being oppressed or whatever. I'm like, well, it's not even about that. It's about a character who goes through a lot that breaks down. In this case, happens to be the Joker,
right?
Because this is what the movie's about.
Exactly.
Again, nobody's justifying anything that he did.
Exactly.
It's like, well, they deserved it. If you say that, you're disturbing. And if you don't feel bad about what this character went through, or I mean, in a general sense, if you don't feel bad about somebody going through this, no offense, you kind of need to check yourself at that point. You really do. Because, I mean, certainly you don't be happy somebody goes through that. But if you don't care, that's kind of almost as bad.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing that I don't understand. And I had this. I guess there's two different movies that I'm looking at here, but like they say, like I've heard the whole this movie is not justified, but glorifying killing and stuff like that. Every time like the Joker killed, it was horrifying.
Yeah,
it was filmed
right.
to be horrifying.
Yep. And like you said, there was no. Oh, it was a funny killing. It's not like he, I don't know, pushed the guy down the stairs and then like that wacky wank boom boom crash sound music came up. No, it wasn't anything like that.
Right. And I'm like, look, there's people out there that are going to get you fired from your job or whatever. That does not mean you go in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know something about that too.
Yeah, we both do actually. But it's like, there's people out there that will
normal.
do that. That doesn't mean you go and kill them.
No.
That's not what the movie is saying.
No.
That's the one thing I don't understand. And the thing the thing is like, I usually compare this to Batman v Superman, because there were a lot of criticisms of Batman killing people. And the thing that I didn't understand that people didn't get, or I would say general popular people didn't get, was that the movie never said it was okay that he was killing people.
Right.
If you think about, like, Alfred was telling him, dude, you need to stop or whatever. I'm like, Superman is telling him, no, don't do this. Stop. This is cool. Everyone is talking about him, like the innocent people are afraid of Batman now.
Right.
You know, it's like, the movie's not saying that it's okay that he's killing people. Same thing here, like with the Joker. I'm like, the movie's not saying it's okay. It's a little more subtext than the Batman v Superman. It's not actually flat out telling you like that movie is, but I'm like, it's a little more, subtextual, but at the same time, like, you got to look at the way it's filmed, look at the way it's shot. It's horrifying when he does murder somebody. It's like, Jesus, Yeah. And it's not cool. I mean, like, he might do a little dance or something whatever, but it's freaking creepy as hell.
Right. Yeah.
It's scary. Like,
Right.
when he danced in the bathroom, it was unnerving.
It was, because that's not a normal reaction.
Exactly.
And I want to say, like, when he killed the guy in his apartment and he let the other guy go, who just said he was his friend, he was nice to him. When he killed the guy, it's almost like, I mean, he didn't feel good about it, but he kind of felt, I guess, a relief or something. Not really like, yeah, I killed you, but it's like, oh, okay, I feel relief now. Because I guess because he had such a pent up emotion about the guy basically gave him the gun to protect him as a nice thing, but then kind of ratted him out later, which got him fired. Then to come back over and pretend like, oh, we're sorry to hear about your mother. And then he would go, probably not, just because of the way that guy kind of treated him after, I guess, the whole scenario. And at that point, he had already been really, really kicked a lot, literally. I mean, because you see the times when he's kicked a lot on the screen with the kids and then the banker guys.
Yeah.
And, he's just kind of like, okay, I've, been literally kicked down enough. So,
yeah, and like I said, everyone's got their breaking point.
But it wasn't like, it wasn't a wacky killing, and it wasn't like afterwards, he didn't laugh.
No.
He just sat there.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it's okay. Yeah, you can go.
Yeah, it was very visceral.
Yeah.
To say the least. Yes, this wasn't, like, honestly, this wasn't Deadpool. I'm just like, you can kind of laugh at sometimes some of the stuff that he does on screen, killing people, decapitating people or whatever. But you're more laughing at the way he's doing it and what he's saying while he's doing it, because but you have to look at the way it's filmed, look at the context and the subtext of what's going on in this movie. It's like, okay, you have somebody like Deadpool who kills people for a living, and he goes out and he's talking smack or whatever, getting shot and shooting people, whatever, and we can laugh at that because it's meant to be funny. It's meant to be laughed at. That's not the way this movie is shot, and I would say, probably it is a little bit more apt to what Tracy says, a messed up version of Logan, but I would say, like, the violence is probably more akin to Logan. Whereas, like, you had the X-Men films, you had Wolverine doing his thing, you're like, you're actually like, kind of like, oh, that's cool, Wolverine's doing his thing or whatever, and then you see him do his thing, you're like, oh, I don't like this so much anymore. And he's like, you want to curl up somewhere, and it's like, this is what Wolverine actually does. It's like, ooh, it's brutal.
Yep.
It's brutal, and it's filmed that way. You're not meant to be comfortable with any of this.
Right.
So, as far as issues with the film, I think I only had two major ones.
I wrote down the same thing you wrote down.
There are too many bullets.
Yeah,
in the gun.
Like, because it happened so fast, and again, it's a revolver, so it has like 6 shots at most. Some revolvers have only 5 shots, but it had 6 shots, and I think he shot 8 times, I think. And like, he never reloaded because everything was going on so fast that there was no time for him to reload. So yeah, that was that. I'm like, okay, that's okay. I don't know why they missed that. That just seems a pretty obvious thing.
Right. I think, I don't know, because like some of it, I'm probably convinced some of that was done in post, like as far as the gunshots or whatever. I'm like, well, you could have just had them shoot this guy once, have them shoot this guy once or whatever, because obviously like the blood splatter and stuff like that's CGI. That's done in post. So I was like, huh, that's interesting.
Well, I mean, they could have just shot the guy, because he shot one guy once, some guy twice, and then the other guy shot once, like in the leg, because he's dragging his leg, and you see his leg bleeding. I mean, so that's 3 shots. So he got 3 more shots.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there you go, 3 more shots.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
or just do 2 more shots. I mean, he's already
Exactly.
shot once. You don't have to keep shooting him. Shoot him once in the back. He falls down and he walks up on him and shoots him, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean,
And but yeah, like that was an interesting issue.
right. I was like, but that seemed kind of sloppy to me. But
Yeah,
that's just me.
yeah. And also, so I don't know if you consider this a spoiler or not, but Bruce Wayne is in this movie.
Yeah.
And Thomas Wayne actually does have a significant part
Mhm.
to play in this. Bruce Wayne not so much, and not so
Right.
much Martha Wayne or anything like that.
Right.
They are very much background characters.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Wayne has more of a larger role and to play in this particular movie.
Right.
But Bruce Wayne, I don't know what he was told to do. The kid was told to do,
Right.
but I don't know. Have you seen it in the trailers? Like the kid that he's forming his face into a smile, sticking his thumbs up in his mouth and stuff
Right,
like that.
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know many kids at Bruce Wayne's age that would let him do that.
Nope.
Just let some
And-
random guy do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because he sees him, he disappears behind the wall, comes up, he's got the red nose on, and he's
Mhm.
walking to the gate like do 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 do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like talking to the kid, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, okay, all right, you're just gonna let him do that, fine or whatever. But that's kind of like the kid's whole shtick through the film is like he doesn't really react to much. Yeah, it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
like the I guess you call it spoiler too, but like the death of the death of the Waynes happens at
Right.
the end of this film, and the kid's just kind of like,
He's just standing there. No, I think it's more of a. I think honestly, that was more of a stylized thing, because it did seem like the kid didn't have much emotional response about
Yeah,
anything. If you let a strange man put your fingers in your mouth and like put your hands on you and stuff, so it's kind of weird.
So
After and then yeah, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like the classic imagery is usually like, okay, yeah, you have the pearls scattering and stuff
Right.
like that, but the classic imagery, he's on his knees, he's like sometimes he's crying, sometimes he's just like, his parents were just murdered, so
Right,
there's
in front of
something
him.
there.
Right.
So, but here he's literally just standing there. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just imagining he's just like, can I go now?
He's like I got no lines. I was just standing here.
Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of weird. It's like kind of amidst the riot, and I will say the end.
Yeah.
The riot was it's one of two things. It's like we were talking about when we were after the film. We talked a little bit, and you could do it one of two ways, but I think the way it ended, they did 2 different things, and they didn't have to do 2 different things because there was this riot that happens after the after the Joker has been doing his thing for a little bit. There's this riot that happens, and people are kind of like it's almost kind of purge-ish if you
Yeah.
think about it.
They're all dressed up in clown face or
Yeah.
masks and stuff.
Yeah, because like they're his.
Right.
He's like their savior or whatever you want to call him or whatever. And they kind of like they're all praising him and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, and then he paints his his mouth.
His mouth is bleeding, so he does the
Yeah.
blood thing.
Yeah,
and
he does
like,
with the
and he's
smile.
kind of doing
Yeah.
a little dance thing
and then
on the police car.
Yeah,
and then it fades out.
fades out,
Then it fades back in, and I'm like,
and then he's caught again.
then he's in the, he's in the asylum
yeah.
with talking to the social worker.
Mhm. So it was like, okay,
And then you thought it was going to end there,
right.
but then it didn't. And then I guess he ends up killing her because
Yes.
his shoes
He's
are
got-
bloody. Now I will say the imagery it looked pretty interesting because everything's white,
And then
he
the
puts his
blood on
foot down.
shoes.
There's like red footsteps,
Mhm.
and as an imagery, okay, that looked interesting. I'm not saying it looked good in
Right.
that regard, but it looked interesting
Mhm.
because of that kind of contrasting stark white of the hospital and the bloody footprints.
Mhm.
But then, like I said to you guys, like first of all, the luck happenstance of guys in an ambulance that happens to know which patrol car he's in to crash into him to
Right.
get him out of there. But
Right.
okay. But I thought it'd been better if you just had that song play at the end when he rises up after, he kind of wakes up from being, because he's kind of bleeding because of the car crash.
Mhm.
And he gets up and these people cheering his name and he kind of just does this thing and then have that song play and just kind of fade to black. That would have been
Yeah,
perfect.
that was it.
That would have
Just
been
leave
great.
it there. Leave
yeah,
it there.
But I want to say that whole scene of the setup of him at the talk show with the Robert
Robert De Niro's
De Niro's
character.
yeah. And
was it something Franklin? Let me. I think I got it. I got the cast list up here.
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, that whole thing just seemed to be a little bit too long.
mhm.
I don't know. It just seemed to kind of be a little longer than it needed to be.
Yes.
Yeah, Murray Franklin.
Yeah.
So it needed to be. It's a little longer than it seemed to me that it needed to be. I don't know why it was like that, but and then and then after that, I don't know. Then he got caught.
Yeah, he gets caught. Yeah, obviously,
And then they
the
crash,
police catch
and
him.
then,
They crash.
and then
And
they
he
get,
gets out. He does
yeah.
his thing, and
So-
then he's caught again. And it's just kind of like,
Yeah.
all right, if like you said, ended on that note where
Right.
he smears his face, or he's caught. The next thing he's in the asylum. Maybe you don't need the riot to happen at all.
Yeah.
He's just in
Yeah,
the
as
asylum.
he-
That's
yeah.
how you end
Exactly,
it.
yeah, because
Yeah.
he as he leaves the studio, maybe the cops are already on the way because people would have seen it, would have called the
Right,
police.
right, exactly.
And I imagine somebody, when he starts talking about he murdered those guys, I imagine someone would have been on the phone like, hey,
Right.
I think this guy killed these people.
Right.
Because he's wearing clown makeup. Like,
Mhm.
the people would say the clown thing and the whole 9 yards. And then
Yes.
as the, Mr. Murray Franklin is talking to him, kind of stalling him maybe.
Exactly.
You would think.
Exactly.
And then do that. And then show him in in fact, don't even show him talking to the social worker. Have him in the thing laughing or something, kind of like when they showed him he's banging his head against the wall, like
Right.
have him going or something. I don't know. But I don't know. I think it would have been in my opinion, again, as if I were the armchair director,
Right.
I would have just, as the people were cheering, like I said, done the slow mo, people cheering as he rises slowly,
Yep.
and then have the song play of send in
Send
the
the clowns,
clowns.
yeah.
It was the Frank Sinatra version, which is
yeah.
nice and slow.
Mhm.
And as he rises slowly, send in the clowns, and they just fade to black.
Yeah.
I think
Yep,
that would have
that's
been
it.
beautiful. That would have
That's
been
it, yeah.
awesome. You're like,
That's a
okay,
great way to
because see,
end it.
then what'll happen? What that would have been like, okay, this is, and then the rest of the story.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, so this is how it becomes the demented, crazy, whatever,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden now what happens next.
Exactly.
It's like he becomes, this arch villain and
Mhm.
Batman's nemesis and the scourge of Gotham and the whole 9 yards.
Mhm.
So I'm like, yeah, that would have been great. I've been a great ending. I don't know. They're probably gonna do a second one. I just don't know.
I would hope that they wouldn't. I think
Yeah.
this is plenty. This is plenty.
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. Because it was. I mean, it was a long movie. How long was this movie? Did it have on the
I think
thing
it
there?
has a runtime up here. Let me.
I think if you
Last
go,
cast and crew.
yeah, if you go back,
there.
it'll have it at the top somewhere. 2 hours, 2
2 hours
minutes.
and 2 minutes.
Well, if actually, I mean, honestly, it felt longer.
Yeah, it did.
It
I felt the length a little bit there.
Because I mean, like Trey was saying, and you want to have Trey back on later because he was just like
Yes,
"Ugh."
yes.
And he's like, I can't talk about it right now. I can't talk about it right now. I got to process it. And I was like, wow, man, he's really passionate about this. And he said something like, this is the second movie he wanted to walk out of because to him seemed to drag on so long.
Mhm.
And I was like, I see what he's talking about, but I think they did that because they wanted you to feel like you were being squashed and dragged through the dirt and
Yeah.
kicked down and pushed down. They wanted you to kind of feel what the music, like I said, the cello, the long notes it
Yeah.
held, and how it, because that's the thing, if it holds that note a little longer, it feels uncomfortable.
Yes.
And then you're like,
Yes.
and then as it's playing, as he's going through that, it builds.
Yes.
And that tension kind of built. Kind of like we're, at Astra, we're going to talk about, for another review.
Yes. Yes. So.
You got some rain falling right now, so you might hear some
yeah?
rain. Yeah.
Yeah. How you might. Hopefully, as long as it's not like thunder or lightning.
Yeah,
I don't even know if the mics will pick that up. So, but it might be stormy here in a little bit. But so be careful when you're way home. I'll say that much. Yeah.
You'll be all right.
But also,
I drive a Honda.
I
It's safe.
think, yeah. But I might actually retract my statement that I made a couple months ago after we saw Spider-Man. And I was like, I think this might be the best film of the best comic book film of the year.
Wow.
Because I was saying that, and I was kind of sad about it because I'm like, well, it's just good. It's not great. It's
right.
not a
yes,
standout.
the bar was
film.
low, and you go,
Yeah.
wow, that hit the bar. Well, that's really good.
Yeah, and I'm
like-
just like, well, we got our standout film here
Yep.
in Joker. And I would probably say it'd have to be the best, even though it's like not a movie that you're going to leave feeling very good about seeing it.
And
It's
I'm
so
gonna say,
weird.
yeah. This is the weird part. Is like you feel weird if you say you were entertained. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow. It's like you would feel wrong by saying you enjoyed it. So that's the weird part.
Exactly.
I don't know how you kind of would describe it. It had a very well. I mean, look at the impact it had on Trey.
Yeah.
So he felt the impact of what was going on was like it really made him feel a certain way, and it. What do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? It generated a response in you. I forget the word I'm looking for, but it really did something to elicit a response. Maybe that's what I'm looking for in you. That, well, first of all, should make you feel uncomfortable because it should.
Yes.
You should feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
You should. You should feel like Trey was like, I just feel weird. I was like, yeah, you should. You absolutely should. I know when Heath Ledger did the Joker movie in The Dark Knight, he said, afterwards he felt like, wow, that's a really, that character, really got into it. So he really felt,
disturbed
and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I was like, you should. This is not a normal character.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you do a dark scene in a play or like a film or something, whenever you do something that's out of character for you, you should feel weird about it. You should. I mean, yeah, you can tap into that kind of that dark side of the kind of the primal, nature of people. Back to the I take my smash. Yeah, you should feel weird about that because in a polite society we don't do that. And so when you're playing this kind of weird character, basically the insane clown posse makeup on there, yeah, you should feel. I mean, because you look at that and you go like, oh, that's a little weird. And then, like I said, the dancing after he did all that, I'm just like, yeah, that's a little weird. It's kind of like the was that Kung Fu Hustle where the axe gang dances after they kill somebody. But that's again, they did that kind of as a comedic thing, to make it weird and bizarre. Because it's like, okay, they're supposed to be bad guys. You get that, and the dance afterward just seemed a little weird. But yeah, the length was a little long, and it felt long. It felt longer than 2 hours. To be honest with you, I thought it was 2 hours 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wow, how long is this movie? And that's that's one of the downsides. Yeah. So if they would have the show, the kind of Tonight Show like show, they had shortened it up a little bit. They made it kind of.
That it felt like an extended scene, like if you were watching like you said, a director's cut or version of it. It felt like you were watching an extended scene there. Right. I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, I could definitely see you filming this whole thing. Right. But like, you probably could have just cliff notes.
Right.
We get it.
I mean, they made it very awkward pauses.
Yes.
And it already was kind of awkward, so you didn't need to do it anymore. I think Trey didn't like the fact, but again, he'll probably come back. You said and do something about that. But Trey said, it just felt like, holy cow, how many times are you gonna show this guy getting kicked and put down? And I'm like, yeah, I get that, but it's like you have to push him so far over the edge he can't come back, I think is what they're going for. And that's and again, remember, it has to elicit a response from you. And it did definitely in Trey. I mean, even though he said he didn't necessarily like it and he was like, oh, it was too long, I was gonna walk out. I just felt uncomfortable or whatever. I'm like, well, that's a response though.
Yes.
It's not like it was horrible, I gotta leave because this is awful. I mean, I walked out of a couple movies, it was like, oh guys, can't even watch this. This is awful. Not because it didn't give me any response other than I can do something better with my time.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I've walked out of like maybe 3 movies just because they were so boring and not entertaining in any way or engaging or thought-provoking or, anything. I'm just like, I go home and watch paint dry be more fun and interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I'd watch my fish in my fish tank swim around. It's like, that's more exciting.
Yes.
Like, oh, look, he's back in his house again.
Yes. But this is not one of those films.
No.
But it's also, it may not even be one that you want to go see a second time.
Yeah, that's the thing. I wouldn't, no. Because, I mean, it's so long. Because here's the thing. It kind of delved into that for such a long period. It's not like you missed anything, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you were pretty much really, legitimately living this guy's life.
Yeah,
with
you
him.
explored, I think, everything you could explore, at least in this version of the character of, because, I mean, it wasn't just like someone told him that his mom was, committed, because people told him that. Mr. Wayne told him that. He went to the Arcane Asylum and he found out about that. So it wasn't like you didn't already know that. that his
Right.
mom was kind of. But even when you saw her, you're like, she's old, so maybe she's not quite in touch with things anymore. So you're like, okay, she's something going on there. It's not quite right. So you even felt that immediately. So it didn't really surprise you that she was, because she kept talking about, oh well, Mr. Wayne will be sad if we're like this, and I'm like, I don't think so. I just there was nothing about that whole makeup, because I'm like, well, gee, if that were the case, then you would be living in a place like that. You
That's
know what I
right.
mean? If that were the case,
That's right.
because if this was his son and he already knew that, you would think, well, heck, he'd be paying some money on the side or something to keep her hush hush. Not, I'm just going to ignore you and you sign a piece of paper and you'll go away or something. Which again, none of that happened, but that's
Exactly.
in her mind is what happened. So yeah, I don't know. But what else you got to say about it?
That's like I said. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm going to retract my statement about Spider-Man: Far From Home. Nothing against Far From Home. I'm just saying, like, you're not this good.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm just like, yeah, I could watch Far From Home again. This one, I'm like, I'll get it just to have it in my collection.
Right.
I don't know if I'd watch it again.
Well, because see, Far From Home, it had fun moments.
Yes.
It had interesting, like, again, funny, fun kind of. The tone changed.
Yes.
This one, tone didn't change.
No.
No. You were hopeful. You're like, oh, that's nice. He met a nice girl. But then you're like,
It
that
didn't really
seems
happen.
weird, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
it didn't really happen. And so you're like, okay, but you kind of knew that from, like I said, when you saw him kind of have that daydream about being on the show with the Murray guy, and you're like, okay, so he's got an active imagination. So like, okay, yeah, I can see that not happening just because he briefly spoke to a girl on the elevator, and then you never saw her daughter again.
Right.
And you're like, that's not normal. But that's the thing. That one you were entertained, and I don't think you could say that
That's not this
in
movie.
a positive way about this. And then not that it was bad, because it wasn't. It was
No.
like I said, it's
No.
like, your favorite kind of, or the best comic book type movie.
Yeah, I would say best comic book movie.
Yeah.
Can't say superheroes.
Yeah,
Like, there are no
'cause
superheroes
there's
in here.
superheroes in this.
So.
And I mean, I'm more of a Marvel fan than a DC fan. I will say he nailed a really awesome portrayal of the Joker.
Yes.
I mean, it was certainly not a normal Joker description of, like, I guess in some of the comic books and stuff. But like I said, I don't know much about the Joker character in a comic book sense. But it's certainly different from any of the other Jokers. I mean, there was nothing other than him looking like a Joker, or maybe calling the Joker,
Right.
that made him cartoon-like or comic book-like. Everybody's portrayal of the Joker that I've seen on film or TV has been different.
Right.
And they've all had their own, great takes of the character. And they've all made it their own.
Right. Exactly.
And I will say, yeah, some are more, some I like more than the others. But I can't say as I fault them for saying, like, well, that's not really the Joker. I was like, that's the Joker. No. But I mean, they all did their active interpretation of it, but they also kept it in the context of that kind of feel of it. And so I appreciate that.
Right. And the other thing, I guess I'll end on this, is when I've said this before, and I have nothing wrong with a popcorn comic book movie. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Just I have nothing wrong with a movie that, you can just kind of turn your brain off to enjoy to a certain degree, whatever. But what that winds up being like just background noise for me.
Right.
But,
It's like a movie on a rainy Saturday and you just want to take a nap.
yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's kind of fun. You've seen it. You get it. It's nothing really like thought provoking.
Exactly.
It's like keeps you awake. You're like, ooh, you're like,
Yeah, I have nothing wrong with that, but I feel like movies like this, and I'm not saying this particular film, but movies like Joker, like Logan, like X-Men First Class, The Dark Knight, they are genre type movies before they're genre type movies before their comic book films. It's like, look, we're not
character studies and character studies, because this is totally a character study.
Character study, a psychological thriller and stuff. And I'm like, all right, hey, look, we're just gonna like, all right, yeah, this is a comic book character, but that doesn't mean we can't treat this like any other thing. It was like we don't have to do a whole wink, wink, nudge at the
Right.
when the wink at the camera, nudge, nudge. It's like, hey, you get it, and it's like, yeah, we don't need that all the time. Not everything needs to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything needs to be overly entertaining and have a good time. And this movie really proved that.
Right.
So I'm just like, hey, look, you can take these characters and do what you want with them. You don't have to, like I said, I understand the masses love the MCU films and stuff like that. I like a majority of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think a majority of them are decent. I think there's very few that stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there's very few that are like Winter Soldier, or something like that. There's very few. So, like I said, I don't have a problem with if you want to come out with the Ant-Man movie and just have some fun, like that's fine. But that shouldn't be the majority.
Mm-hmm.
That should not be the majority. And like we need more films like this that we'll dive into the character or whatever. That need more film. Like I said, I'm not saying make Joker films. I'm not saying make each movie dark and just uncomfortable. And I'm just like, I'm just saying you can do that. And the majority of films that come out should evoke something. Should evoke thought. It should evoke something other than just like, oh, this was fun popcorn movie. It should.
Mm-hmm.
That's really why I'm behind this channel so much, is because it's like, man, I want these movies to be taken seriously. That's the thing. So that I'll close the Joker review on that, and I'm glad that they've done what they've done.
I was gonna say before you do that though, I was gonna say, because like I said, this is not like a fun popcorn movie. It's a character movie, and if I'm thinking like, and I just want to pull up the character thing, all the characters again.
Mm-hmm.
All the characters were important.
Yes.
None of them were superfluous.
Mm-hmm.
They all fulfilled a role. They had a specific role, and if they weren't there, I think it would not have played out the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing. I mean, like, the guy that played the young Alfred had to be there to kind of give him a reality check and also get Bruce Wayne away from him.
Exactly.
Because Bruce was, I don't know, letting a stranger touch his face or something.
Yes, for reasons.
All of them,
yeah.
but all of them filled a role, and none of them were just kind of like throwaway characters.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they all served a purpose. They all did something, and then they weren't just like hanging around, just to be there.
Right. Right.
So that's again, it's a character kind of driven study.
Yes. And like I said, we need more movies like this, please. More movies like this.
Exactly.
I keep saying that, and I'm like, so I just know people are going to just say like, you just want more movies to be dark and dreary and stuff. And I'm like, well, hey, Winter Soldier was a dark and dreary, and that's a really good movie, So I'm like, they're going to think like, oh, I want more movies like exactly like the Joker, and I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. But for those of you that are listening and watching, if you've, I guess, followed us long enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just more films like this, to take some risks, take some challenges,
right?
And challenge your audience. Don't treat them like they're idiots. So yeah. But hey, like I said, great film.
Yes.
I'm glad I saw it, but I'm not.
That's I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
I think we felt the proper way we should have felt in those situations. Like I said, if you don't feel bad for the character about what he goes through, then I think you're out of touch with like your emotions and your actual humanity in some way. I'm not saying justify everything he did. You should be horrified by what the character's choices he made. You shouldn't be happy about that. You shouldn't agree with that. But you should understand, like, well, gee, it's like you can say, wow, I empathize with him because, I've had bad things happen. I've been kicked. I've been told I'm not good enough, or I've been told, I can't do something or whatever. I mean, again, we've all had parents. If your parents were just 100%, you're awesome, you're great, and everything you do is sunshine and rainbows, hey, guess what? That's fine, but it may not prepare you for the real world because, nowadays with everybody getting a trophy for showing up, That's not how it works in the real world, and
Yeah.
everybody knows this. And that's the funny part about parents nowadays, because like my wife and I never had kids, but that's just thing we decided. And of course, I'm a lot older now. I'm like, if I don't want to be like 70 and have a 10-year-old kid. I just, I don't know. I just wouldn't feel like there'd be a connection there. But at the same time, I'm like, you gotta. If I grew up in an era where not everybody told you everything was wonderful and great, said, hey, you got to work hard and do your best, and that might not be good enough, but you got to keep trying.
Yep.
As opposed to, hey, you know what? You're just great for just being you. And I'm like, well, I don't know if that really works. I mean, yes, you being you is great, and you being you is terrific as you, because Mike is Mike and I am me.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be like Mike, and Mike's not trying to be like me
Right.
or whatever. We have different career choices. We have different life experiences. He's younger than me. I'm older than him. Whatever. But at the same time, I appreciate him for being him. And I'm always like saying, "Hey, Mike, you're awesome. You can talk to me or lean on me or I'll steady you when you're kind of wobbly or something, vice versa.
Vice versa, man. Vice versa.
But we also know it's like, hey, bad stuff happens.
Yes.
But we don't define ourselves by the bad stuff that happens.
Exactly.
And you go, bad stuff happens. Okay, now what do I do? Well, hey, man, just keep going, chugging
Yep.
forward. And, you got friends, you got family, people that kind of support you and like, prop you up because that's what good people do. And even like, strangers or even like, neighbors that I don't see it much. Like, how you doing? It's like, oh, it's like, oh, wow, I'm sorry to hear that, man. It's like, and it's like, yeah, that stuff happened. I remember when I was, and so, you kind of interact and it's like, oh, somebody empathizes and cares,
yeah.
right? They don't slam the door when they see you and look through the curtains or something, But at the same time, you can't dwell on the bad, kind of like he was doing. It's like
exactly,
but it's like everything is bad. There's nothing that makes me happy.
I've never had a
Right.
positive thought,
Which is
my
funny
entire
because when
life.
he's
I was
in the
like, wow.
hospital with the sick kids, they're laughing and cheering and having a good time. And I'm like, maybe he's not really seeing that. And you're like, well, if you can do that there, then maybe you can do that in other places or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. But yeah, that's the thing. You can't say, well, yeah, but it's trophy for showing up. Everybody's great for showing up. Well, you know what? It's like people naming their kids unusual names. Well, I want to be unique. I go, well, they're unique because they're different. They're unique because they're who they are.
Exactly.
They don't have the unique name to be unique. They're a different person than everybody else. Therefore, they are unique.
Exactly.
Their DNA structure is so that no one else is like them in the entire world.
Exactly. You don't need to spell Paul with 2 L's. I've seen that.
I
saw
know,
that
it's like,
recently. I saw that recently. That's why I brought that up.
I don't know.
But you don't need to have Paul. Yeah.
So that's the thing. I mean, everybody's different. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're a whatever, that's great. You know why? Because that's you and that's fine. Now, as long as you're a good person and blah, 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 you certainly can't do what this guy did.
Right.
That wouldn't, people would not be going like, oh, that's fine. That's great. Mom's like, oh, you kill kids. You kill people the best I've ever seen. That's a little not normal. Right. We're talking like normal things.
Yes.
Working hard, being a good person. I don't know, rescuing puppies and kittens or something, whatever that's a good thing you would do. And because that's the thing, like, I'm not better by putting Mike down or anybody else.
Right.
I'm better by helping people and pushing them up because, first of all, if they're successful, it doesn't make me less successful.
Exactly.
It's not like they go, well, I'm successful now. I'm going to buy your house and kick you out. You know what I mean?
Success is not finite.
Yeah. And it's not like you like, well, I'm better than you now, so therefore you're nothing. I mean, there's not like there's only one thing at the end of it. It's like, this isn't a, it's not a maze and there's only one piece of cheese at the end or something. It's like, it's life. Everybody's life's different.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
That's waxing poetic or something.
There you go.
Like deep thought.
Ending on some real deep stuff right here.
Yeah. And now let's talk about deep space, right?
Yes, there you go. Perfect segue. Look at that. Look at that. All right. So
Put on a happy face.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back to talk about some Ad Astra. All right, guys, so we are back with the second part of the show, and our last segment is going to be about Ad Astra, and we saw that just a few weeks ago.
And neither one of us really had ever heard of it. And we were like, what's that?
Actually, I kind of I did, but I
Right.
didn't. It's like I was hearing, through the grapevine that Brad Pitt was going to be in a sci-fi movie.
Okay.
I was kind of like, oh, that's new. You know, for him, whatever. He's usually either he's in action or he's in like some character-driven movies, but he's usually playing like a character.
Right.
I think he's become more of a character actor than just like you would think. When I think of like character actors, I think of like John Goodman. John Goodman's like a good character actor. Like he just kind of, he just like he plays like a legitimate, legitimate
like the Big
character.
Lebowski and things like that.
Yeah, it's
I
just
can
like
see that.
yeah, it's like the fast talking or
Right.
whatever.
And, what was he in? Brother, Where Art Thou? Was the Klan guy or something? So yeah, definitely the character kind of thing.
Yeah, so it was actually so like I heard through the grapevine. I was like, okay, this is new for Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let's check this out, see what this is all about and everything. And I mean, let's be real, our choices weren't that vast.
Yeah. We were like, because we were like, hey, let's go to the Alamo Drafthouse
Yeah.
and see a film because it's an awesome movie experience. If you've never been to one,
Yes.
there's others around that very similar where there's no texting, no talking, phones are off, but away, and they flat out tell you, we'll give you one warning and then you're out, and they won't refund your money and you won't be happy.
That's
and
right.
everyone else will be happy because, again, you go there to enjoy a movie, quiet, so there's not a lot of nonsense going on, and also they have delicious food, and they bring it to
Exactly.
you. It's like even better.
Yeah.
So we were like, I was like, hey, let's go to check it out. And you're like, okay. And so what's playing? I was like, well, there's only a couple of things playing, and that was one of them. And we were like, well, let's go see that one. I was like, okay,
Yes.
because I had not really heard of it at all. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And judging by like some of the previews, it was given we had a real like Interstellar kind of vibe to
Yeah,
it.
it did have a bit of an interstellar vibe. It's very similar of like, there's an astronaut, there's something weird going on. They got to figure out how to stop it. Or whatever, and then in Interstellar it was the Earth is dying or whatever, and in this case it sort of would happen like that too. If whatever electrical discharge kept happening, the Earth would have life would have been extinguished or something bad would have happened,
Right.
and so he's sent to that was a scary clip there, but yeah, so there was that, there was that.
Yeah.
And I want to say, you said science fiction. It's sort of science fiction-ish. It's more science
exactly,
fact because it's near future. There's no like
The resources are
really-
limited on Earth
Yeah.
now, and
Yeah, I mean it was all like earthy stuff, but I think we got some kind of Earth type, not deep space, but inner space or whatever, like within, like an Earth mounted telescope that goes into sort of space-ish.
Right.
But you still have to wear a suit because there's no oxygen and whatever. You're sort of right in space, but not quite. I'm not sure how that works, but it's very interesting. And then, of course, you got people on the moon, you got people on Mars.
Right,
That's about
right.
it. And there was some, like a deep space probe and some labs out there somewhere because they ran across one or two of them. So there's that.
yeah, and that's another thing that's actually what I was going to hint on is like after seeing the film, it's like it's like all right, yeah, it's science fiction, but ish,
Right.
Like if don't expect to see any, even though it is a part of the film, don't expect to see any aliens just walking around and we're all of a
Right.
sudden we're buddies communicating back and forth or whatever. Don't expect any of that.
Nope.
Don't expect large space battles or anything like that. Don't
Nope.
expect any of that.
Nope.
This is the second film in our review that is going to be a character study and more of a very character driven film.
Very much so. Whereas Joker had a lot of emotion, this one was the character trying to figure out, because this character really nothing fazed him,
Right.
and that's the kind of the really sort of the sort of contradiction of these two films from the Joker and this one is in that one it was totally his emotions were kind of just a lot of stuff happened. He just couldn't figure out what to do. This guy, the big thing was his heart rate never rose above a certain level, like almost like a resting heart rate. He was
Right.
so. I mean, this Brad Pitt's character was a super cool cucumber under fire or
Yes.
anything. Something bad was happening. He's just kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna do this. Okay, he's like, command, this, and I gotta do this, and he's just like
Exactly.
just like suave and cool.
Exactly.
I
He's
mean-
like that's the guy you
Yeah.
want on any type of mission. That's the guy you want flying your planes
Yep.
and stuff like that. Just
Yep.
cool, calm,
It's
just
I'm
like all
falling
right.
to earth. Yeah. Well, I gotta get out of the spin, and then
Yep.
I'll deploy my chute when I get low enough. Not sure what happened, but I did
Mm-hmm.
manage to disconnect, electrical junction
Mm-hmm.
before I fell thousands of feet to the earth. And that's kind of what he
Yes.
was doing. He's kind
Yeah.
of, matter of fact, talking about it.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
you're
like,
dang, man.
yeah.
And then I want to say when that happened, it was so close up on him. You felt like you were falling too.
Yes.
Because I mean, they'd like in this shot right here, it's a tight shot on him, and then you
Mm-hmm.
see the earth, and then they pulled back, and you saw him, and you saw Earth in space. You're like, whoa.
yes,
And so in this movie, it's really, really more him against kind of the elements, like you
Yes.
would in most of those kind of like Castaway with Tom Hanks or whatever.
Mhm.
It's him against nature or the elements. Or in this case, space.
right,
So
exactly.
Space will murder you.
Yep.
And if you do anything wrong, if you anything bad happens to the kid, like, okay, you're dead.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
You're gonna die horribly.
Just, I mean, it's just like being out it's just like being out in nature, like you said, with Castaway and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's like,
Yeah.
you do anything wrong, or you
Yep,
do
you're dead.
anything messed up, yep, you're dead.
Yep.
You're done.
You're gonna starve to death. You're gonna fall and break your neck. You're gonna break your leg and slowly bleed to death or something internally. You're gonna die.
Yeah, which is
And-
why like this character works so well in this
Yep.
kind of environment.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
he knows exactly what to do. He's something bad's happening. Okay, well I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Okay, we're good now.
Don't panic. Just go ahead and
Yeah.
go through it and everything.
Yep.
But that's also, and what I liked what the film did with it is also like it's also a flaw that he has.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't connect with people.
Right.
Like he would want to, or like his then ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, Liv Tyler.
kind of Liv Tyler.
Yeah.
Who, if I'm being honest, is kind of it is kind of a thankless role.
Yeah, it's very. She's not in it very long.
She's not in it very long.
You don't really see her there.
Yeah, there she is.
You see a brief, like a brief image, and she was there. I think then she literally walks out on him just because he won't connect.
Right.
And there's a lot of that breaks down from, I guess, his non-connecting with his father, not really interacting with a lot of people. But his father was an astronaut. He became an astronaut, I guess, kind of like, the age-old thing of gonna make my parents and make dad proud of me.
Right.
In some way. And then, of course, his dad ties into the reason why he has to go out in deep space. I want to say to me, that was kind of the only flaw in the film.
Was
Tommy Lee
Lee
Jones.
Jones?
Yeah, because supposedly disappeared 29 years ago, and he looked super effing old to be an astronaut. I'm sorry, but he just did. I'm like,
Well-
young him up a little bit in some of the early shots, just so that way, because it's just almost 30 years for crying out loud. He was
Yeah.
already old as F. Why would you send an old dude into deep space?
I
just don't. I don't. I mean, and I don't know. And then I don't know.
that's the one. That is a flaw that does take you out of it because
Yeah.
he is the age that he is. Nothing
Yeah.
against Tom Lee Jones; he's a great actor,
Right.
But I'm just like,
He's
that's
way
like-
too old to
yeah.
play that role.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. I mean, like, he was old looking before he got lost in space. 'Cause it was 30 years ago.
Exactly.
And I'm like, nah, he's
Exactly.
geriatric already. There's no way they're going to send him to deep space. That ain't gonna
Exactly.
happen.
Which was, I mean, it does kind of, lead into, like, there's a similar issue, but you kind of see, it almost plays itself out a little into a realistic point. It's like, all right, there is another older person. Was it Donald Sutherland?
Yes.
Yeah. So Donald Sutherland here, and I mean, he kind of looks like, he's like, man, what am I doing?
Right. But see, that's
But
the
I'm
thing
like,
about
he
that.
is, but he is too old to be doing this, and he goes out and he's just like, he can't handle it. you
Right.
know?
Well, and that's the thing, but that's why it makes it perfect, because you're right. He's too old, or he wants to do this.
Right.
But he realized as he's doing this and all this stuff happens when he's there with the trying to get to the site, because they're trying to keep us on the hush hush. So apparently they were moon pirates.
Right.
And they're not whalers on the moon like in Futurama, but
Right,
they're pirates on the moon. And so so I guess he just couldn't hack it being that old. But and that's the thing is like, Exactly. Now, I will say he's only going to the moon, so I guess in the near, I could see in the near future older people going at least to the moon or in right around Earth, but not deep space stuff.
Not deep space, yeah.
just because that's going to take so much toll on your body already as a healthy person.
Right.
I mean, as a healthy astronaut, they've already done studies on that. I mean, as a healthy, good shape astronaut, you come back to Earth. There's a lot of wear and tear on your body,
and you see that through through Brad Pitt's performance and everything, and how they shot him going to space. Like it's not a cakewalk for him, it's not like you show like the psychological challenges that he's going through, and he says like he's starting to lose it a little bit.
But I gotta say, bring that picture back up. Bring that picture right there up. But he has awesome hair. I wish I had hair like that.
I wonder why he said
that is
you got the same hair, man.
No. I don't have 4 head. I have like 8 head, and his hair just looks amazing. See, his hair is fabulous. So you're going to go into space, you got to have fabulous hair.
That's true.
This is bottom line. And it's very similar to Joker in that you really get close to this character and you really see him like in close up shots and everything. But the difference is with the Joker, when the character is in close up, most of the stuff is in blur in the background. But with Brad Pitt's character, you see like he's in space or something. You see him a close up, or at least he's the center of the shot,
right?
And then everything else is still kind of in focus,
right? Like
when he's in space. I mean, it's a little bit, but it's supposed to be far away. But see, like the rigging, all that's in focus still,
right?
And you can see the reflection in his visor of the right rig above him too. So you get that feeling that you're really there. When like I said, when he was falling, I felt like it was so tight and close to him. I was like, wow, I was like on my seat. And you even were like, man, woo.
Yeah. After the movie was over, like they do a good job with the tension. I'll get to that real quick though, but I wanted to praise Brad Pitt a little bit here because similar to how I felt about the Joker in and Joaquin Phoenix, how I kind of lost like sight of like, oh, this is Joaquin Phoenix. It's like I lost many times. I completely lost sight that this was Brad Pitt.
Yep.
I'm like, this was brand new person that I have never met before in my entire life. This was it Roy McBride? I was like, this was Roy McBride. I don't know who's Brad Pitt. I don't know. I don't know who he is, but that's not him. And I'm like, he really lent himself to this role, and I can see why he took it. I see why he took it in that regard because let's be real. Every night, I mean, it's fun to play like the fast talking character. He's got the swagger. He's swagger. He's got his eating thing or drinking thing that he's always doing or whatever. But it's like a lot of times it's good to really like stretch your as they call it, stretch your acting legs. Right. Like really just kind of lay it out there and really lend yourself to a role in so much that you become this person. Right. And they did a really good job with that. Director did a really good job with that. As far as visuals go, visuals were really good.
Oh,
the visuals
were amazing. And I mean, a lot of it is like I said, above Earth or in space. And like you said, right here with those shot on Mars, being very red and kind of dusty looking. That's great. And the other thing is, with this kind of, like I said, you're tied up on Brad Pitt a lot. So, as Lee Armstrong, our friend, would always tell us, acting person who's been in a few number of movies, TV shows, if you're on the screen and you're that close, you got to be very simple. Especially for a dramatic role. And if it's a comedy role like the Joker or some other kind of comedy role, it's okay to be big and slapsticky. But even if you're close on, you still can't really do kind of the big mugging thing unless it's just for some kind of effect.
Exactly.
But you're looking at him like that. You got to be so simple.
Exactly.
And I mean, with his eye moving and his kind of when his face twitches a little bit, you go like, wow, that's big because you're right up on him. So it's small, but it looks huge.
Yeah, and that was one of the things like I did notice that he had. Is like whenever something like actually was starting to get to him, his eye would twitch
a little bit. But it was kind of the opposite of the Joker. Was it? But in a good way. It was emotions in a good way because here he was cut off, emotionless. That helped him at least in some way, but not to connect with people or his father or his girlfriend, fiance, or wife, or whoever she was.
Exactly.
The Liv Tyler character. But it did serve a purpose for this thing of him doing his job. he still managed to contain it even when he started getting more and more kind of in touch with his emotions. He didn't let them dominate him, at least.
Right.
Like he didn't just lose his, stuff and kind of just be a basket case.
Right. Right.
But he still was able to at least understand himself and other people and kind of really figure out some issues going on because, he never really knew his dad because he was young when his dad left.
And he had a really hard time letting go of that. That was like the whole thing was just like you just let go of this part, and allow yourself to, to feel.
Yep.
And that was the thing. Like he didn't allow himself to feel like, and he, he goes through it in the as you see in the film. Like that's the whole reason that you're seeing flashbacks with Liv Tyler's character and his ex-girlfriend. That's the whole reason you're seeing it is because you're seeing like the emotional disconnect.
Right.
It's like she'd want to just nuzzle close to him or something like that, and he would just kind of like
just kind of be
I mean he wouldn't like not like get off me, but he would just kind of turn his head a little bit or something like that. And
very simple, very simple.
Yeah, just little stuff like that, and I'm just like, you completely get it, and it was like, it's a really cool character.
It was a simple gesture that put up a wall between him and his, I guess, emotions and people.
Yes,
and that it's like that little thing he did was huge, especially when you're dealing with someone who wants to be intimate with you and wants to get in and understand and kind of get to know the real you. If you kind of do that, well, that's like a big block to some people. It's like, whoa, it is a little gesture, but it's like super rebuff kind of a thing.
Exactly.
Again, it served him well as an astronaut, but not so much as a person.
Exactly. And and hitting on the effects again a little bit, just using the practical stuff, of course, as well, because I didn't know this was actual. I thought they like used a lens,
right?
And like there's actually like a still shot where they had the light toned down a little bit, but you can actually see like, okay, yeah, they are using red lighting here, and I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. I didn't know they were doing doing that.
And the visuals, like you said, are just great, and the scenes are simple. Like in that scene right there, just a very simple take of the character standing there and some of the kind of the light coming through that side. It's just very visually striking. I mean, the space scenes. I mean, yeah, it's all CGI, but holy cow! I mean, essentially, the antagonist in this was space.
Right. Exactly.
There was no bad guy, really.
Right.
There was space. Now, there was like a nefarious, they're trying to keep you from learning the truth and trying to keep you from getting your father, blah, blah, blah. They don't trust you, blah, blah, blah. It's the man or whatever you want to call it. But in essence, the nemesis was space.
Exactly.
The thing keeping him from getting to his goal. That's what he had to fight against was space. And again, his emotions at that time to check as the movie progressed, he became a little more and more emotionally vested because again, he's trying to get to his father, he's trying to come up with figure out those issues.
Exactly.
And then that kind of tapped into, like you said, when he remembered about his fiance and his girlfriend, that he's trying to figure out like, am I messed up or how did this mess me up as a person, not being in touch with my emotions because my dad left, and etc. So
yeah, and I like the especially as as far as the lighting goes. Obviously, I like the head nods to Space Odyssey 2001. I was like, okay, that's pretty neat. Just some of the scenes, how they would shoot scenes and and compose them. I was like, okay, I see what you're doing there. You got those little head nods. You got to do it.
And I want to say a lot of people were really I saw some reviews like Rotten Tomatoes, and some of the people online are like, they're just saying, oh, this is boring. It's too slow. I fell asleep. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, but it's not a Star Wars movie with lasers and explosions.
No,
it's 2001 kind of a deeper meaning and thought of look at this. Like, bring that back up. That one and that one. It's a visual spectacle. If you compare this shot, and the contrasting colors to say, that scene with the red and stuff. I mean, and you look at how the scene, again, cinematography looks amazing.
Yes.
The space shots were just breathtaking. And the way they set it up where, you're seeing the small rocket ship, you're seeing deep space. You're seeing the moon. You're seeing, these guys driving on, I mean, the surface of the moon on these ATVs being shot at by the pirates or something. And, You got the the explosions that are very colorful. You got the moon, which is very gray.
Mm-hmm.
You got the space scene is very black, and especially when like that shot right there. You got the module. You got the moon. You got the total contrast of it's so dark over there. Everything's really bright, and then you got the outline. I mean, it's just so simple, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, and effective and purposeful. Like I said,
Right.
everything like the shots are very purposeful. Like I said, we were talking about it with Joker. I was like, everything like it's done with purpose.
Yep.
Like the dialogue,
Yep.
it's it's purposeful. It's real dialogue, but it's also like, hey, this is also telling you the story. Yeah, I mean, I guess like people like I said with sci-fi and Brad Pitt. I see what people might expect going into this film, whatever, but I mean, the trailers don't really lend itself to that. And like, honestly, I would say the trailer doesn't even do it justice.
Right.
I'm
It
like,
doesn't.
yeah.
And I'd not heard of this film. I didn't know anything about it, and I was like, "What is that?" And then I heard them. I don't know. I was listening to the radio or something, and they were talking about Ad Astra starring Brad Pitt coming. I was like, huh. So I just looked at it. I was like, oh, some kind of space movie. I was like, okay, but I had not seen any previews, only because I don't really have cable, so I wouldn't have seen that.
Right.
And I didn't see any previews when we went to the movies up to that point because it just kind of was a surprise. I was like,
Yeah, I didn't see any previews either
Yeah,
for
I
the
didn't.
theater. I had to
Yeah.
like actually go look on YouTube for this.
Right. But a lot of, like I said, a lot of the critics, and not just the critics though, on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics liked it on Rotten Tomatoes, which people were like, oh, and then people are going to hate it. And then the people, like the normals, they just kind of said, oh, it was pretty boring and it wasn't exciting, and the trailers didn't, paint it the wrong way. I mean, trailers always do that nowadays,
Yeah.
which is really sad.
Yeah.
You'll see the best part sometimes in the trailers.
Exactly.
And the movie's like, oh.
Exactly.
But somebody else works at a movie theater, and I was talking to her, just a person I saw, and we were discussing something, and I said, hey, there's some good movies. I said, not many good movies out, but I did see Ad Astra. And she goes, oh, yeah, people were saying they didn't like it very much. I said, well, I thought it was really awesome. It was a great character-driven movie. I said, now, it's not a science fiction, lasers, explosions, and fast-flying ships. It's a space movie of like a real science kind of fact of modern or near modern Earth, so just like near future. So you still got slow rockets. There's nothing really exciting about that. It's, trying to figure out what's the mystery. Are they going to find out? What is this character motivated to do? Why are they doing it? Is the character changed by the environment and his situation? And all that happens. I said, if you like 2001, things like that, you would like this movie, I think. Because 2001, again, there wasn't, other than at the very end when he gets kind of sucked into the monolith and, the whole alien kind of thing. But this is more of a factual, non-alien-like thing.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like I told her, it's kind of like Lawrence of Arabia, where you see the shot of the desert, and you see the guy in the distance.
Yes.
That is an image of Peter O'Toole and his the character Lawrence and his guide or something with the camels, and then you see the guy coming up. That's what this is. It's like it's kind of like that sort of man against nature kind of movie.
Right.
And this time nature being space.
Exactly.
So it's the big nature. It's like
Exactly. Which is it's lends it even more to an unknown, so it can actually ramp up tension even more because you don't know what's out there in space.
Right. And see, that's it's like the old scary movies. It's the unknown that makes it tense filled. This movie had real tension that built and was good.
Yes.
Because again, it built slowly, but it wasn't like the Joker where it kind of ranched it up. It just slowly build. And then that one scene where you got that pulled up.
Yes.
You did not expect that because the guy was like, okay, there's this deep space research thing. And he's like, no, we need to keep going. He says, look, but we're bound by this, whatever. He goes, no, my orders say we got to keep going. And so, like, when they went in there, you did not expect to see a space baboon eating the guy's face off. And that was a bit surprising because you thought, you didn't know. Like I said, you didn't know. And I did not expect it to be the baboon in space eating the guy's face off. We were both like, whoa. We were like, oh my God. And I was like, okay, wow. They kind of regretted that, don't they? They regret stopping there, and you told them not to. But there you go. So, but then he was a cool cucumber under fire again.
That's right.
Man. I mean, you got this baboon
right.
flying at you like this, blood dripping off his face, going, "Rah!" And then he's just like chilling. He's like pulls out his gun, tries to kill it. He, managed to get away from it and like
Put it in the airlock.
get the guy in, did the airlock thing, and then he's just slowly taping up the guy's mask because the baboon busted through his thing, is eating his face off, and he's like, okay, he says, hold on, we're gonna get you taken care of, no problem. So he's covering up his mask so we can get him out in space and get him back to the. Of course, it was there was no. I don't know why he was like he's. The nice thing was he was cool about it. He was like. He was chill. He was like, it's okay. Just look, relax. We can get you back. Everything's gonna be okay. So it wasn't like he was like, he's like, oh, never mind this guy.
Yeah.
So, he was trying to comfort the guy, trying to say, okay, just calm.
He was sympathetic to the crew.
Yeah. So the guy was still alive then. So, I don't say I was, but, that's possible. But then, later on when he had to help land the ship, because that other guy just couldn't do it because he had already lost the captain. He was already kind of broken from that. And now
he was already afraid to begin with.
He was kind of already a little nervous. And like you said, the one thing you didn't really like was the voiceovers.
Yes, I was going to get into that later, though.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was really good. I mean, there was a few minor things that were, like I said, other Tommy Lee Jones being really old. And like you said that, we'll talk about that. But
Right. And let's see. So we're talking about, that was probably the only scene that I would probably say like, as far as like the CGI, it wasn't as great.
Right.
That was probably the only one I was kind of like,
that was
okay.
Probably, I said that too. I was like,
Yeah,
but it was so, honestly, it was so surprising. It kind of freaked us out that I don't think, at that point, because it was so tense filled, like, well, what's going on? There's supposed to be people on there. We can't get up with them. What's going on? And he's like, okay, we shouldn't stop. And you're like, everybody's like, yeah, you shouldn't. Don't stop. Because something bad's going to happen. And we knew that, but we didn't expect that. So I think it happened so fast that like now you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, I get it. But it happened so quick. I think at that point we weren't really seeing that. We're like, holy crap, we didn't expect that. And then it was over pretty quick. So we really couldn't. It's not like they drug it out, where, gonna go, okay, it looks really bad.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And I said, like, other than that, like the effects were really good, and it's funny now, like, because I was thinking about this movie a little bit earlier, and I was thinking about like, it's like when people usually say like, oh, the effects are better, like a video game. I was like, I was playing PS4 the other day, and I was like, can't really say that anymore because I'm like, oh, video games look really good nowadays. Yeah. So I'm just like, you have to almost specify the console. I was like, it looks like PS2.
Right.
But yeah, it was a little funny thing I was thinking about. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the biggest problems I had with the film was the overuse of narration. I'm not going to say narration all the time.
No.
Because there was times where I'm like, okay, yeah, I could see
because it was just mostly him. There wasn't a lot of other people around him on the screen. It was mostly him because it was mostly him on screen, like on Mars or Again, he was on the. There were other people with like Donald Sutherland character and the other guys played the lieutenant on the rover, but it mostly focused on him because the other guy was driving and trying to shoot. He was, give me your weapon. And it's like and then Donald Sutherland's character just really wasn't really doing anything. He was just obviously freaking out, worried that they were going to die because the pirates were shooting at them. And then of course later he was, on the ship. Whether he was on the ship with the face-eating baboon or on the rocket ship later or on Mars trying to get back onto the rocket. So you mostly focused on Brad Pitt's character.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. There was no one else around to talk to, so you had to do that. But that one scene, he was like, oh, he's scared. Yeah. I was like, you didn't need to say that because you could tell because the character was acting that way. So we're not dummies. We're going to go like, is he scared? I never would have guessed that.
It got to a point where it was like, all right, you're describing what's going on in the movie while we can actually see what's going on in the movie. Or you'll say something before we, before something pops up, and I'm just like, okay, I'm expecting that to happen now, but it's like, you didn't need to say that, like there's the scenes with the with the flashback scenes and whatever. I didn't need narration through those scenes. I'm like, all right, I see what's going on. I see
Right.
that he's distant. You know, I see this now. I don't need to hear you speak about it.
Right.
You know, not saying that Brad Pitt doesn't have a nice voice. I'm just saying, like, I don't.
We didn't need to hear
Yeah.
everything because again, remember the goal, the whole thing was remember it's space, it's quiet.
Yes.
So he didn't necessarily need to narrate all the stuff. I mean, some parts he did because again, we wouldn't have known because he was by himself.
right.
So
Like
his thought process.
yeah, there's a scene where like he's coming down like I think like the escalator or something like that, and there's like he's talking about like how commercialized like the moon has become
Right,
or whatever, and he's talking about like, well, he's like, my dad would have hated this or whatever. I was like, okay, that's something we can't see, we don't
Right,
know,
yeah.
so that's you're kind of like dropping some exposition and some character about your dad or whatever. So okay, we're not spending time with him. I
Right.
can get that, I understand that or whatever, but and just certain scenes, like I said, the narration over like the flashback, I was like, no, I see what's going on here. I
Right.
don't need you to tell me that or whatever. I don't need you to tell me everything that's going on.
Right.
I'm just like, oh, sitting here taking a dump.
I know, it's like, never liked going to the bathroom in space. It was always a little awkward.
Yeah.
It's kind of
It's like,
floating around while I'm trying to, drop off the kids at the pool.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course, in space it's not a pool, but hey,
Feels uncomfortable when they jump back.
yeah,
up. It's like,
the suction feels odd. It's like
yeah, it was like
kind of little breeze on my whoopsie daisy.
yeah, it's like it didn't need all that or whatever.
No.
But like I said, that was probably my biggest issue with the film. I was like, all right,
Right.
just show don't tell,
Right.
show don't tell.
And
you
and
know?
how long was this movie? Because
Shoot,
I
I
want to say,
forgot.
I want to say it was longer than Joker.
Oh, it might have been.
I want to say it might have been like 2.5 hours. Let's see. It's going to show us a preview thing.
preview. No, 2 hours.
2 hours, 3 minutes. Okay, first of all,
I think 1 minute longer.
Yeah, and here's the thing: this movie didn't feel long.
No, it didn't.
It
I
to
didn't
us
feel
it
the length
didn't.
at all.
It felt, I don't know, it felt reasonable.
Yeah, like
And I want to say, in terms of overall, like, say compared to say Joker or any other movie, there wasn't a lot of dialogue in this, but it didn't need to be because it gets a visual
Exactly.
medium.
Exactly.
Again, excuse me. Most of the time, it's just Brad Pitt on the screen or talking to one other person, and there was a lot not said, but it needed to be. So, like when
Exactly.
he's going over, mission briefings, and you see other people going on, and he's like, on the bridge by himself, and they're kind of doing their thing. And he's kind of making sure they don't hear, because again, he's on a secret mission, so no one else is supposed to know. And so, yeah, it's just very quiet and very purposeful of what these things that are doing. So he's kind of mostly just him. So, and then
Yeah,
then like when he was on the ship with them before the captain, and they ran across the face eating baboon.
right.
He realized, hey, it's a good crew. He's like, okay, yeah, I can see why. It's like, and then they're popping pills to relax on the mission.
Right.
He kind of threw his in the trash or something because he just wanted to make sure he was still on his A game
Exactly.
instead of taking his happy pill.
Which
he was-
is in his character to do.
right, yeah. And
It's
he was like, he was watching the character interactions of the crew, and he was like, they got something like they were. A tight knit crew because you can see how they were all interacting and kind of being happy about it and kind of being cordial and happy go lucky more or less. But he realized the captain was very knew his job, and
Right.
this lieutenant or the second in command just kind of wasn't really ready yet.
Yes.
Like you said, you could tell that. Everybody else kind of filled the roles, and again, there were no extra characters.
That's right.
Everybody fulfilled a part and a role. And there was a scene where he had to sneak back onto the rocket because they said, well, they can't trust him because he didn't stick to the script, even though when he didn't stick to the script, he got a response back from his father,
Exactly.
which is what they wanted. So it's like-
Exactly.
so that part didn't kind of make any real sense. I guess it felt he was compromised and he couldn't, do what he needed to do.
Yeah, and
But-
it was like one of the first times where his heart rate was
Kinda,
was
yeah,
ramped up. So
exactly.
they were just like,
A
yeah,
little
maybe.
emotional.
Yeah, it's like we don't need you going on the mission if you're
Right.
an emotional. And I'm just like, oh, I mean, it is his father, but I get it.
Right.
I
And he's
get
been
it.
trying to, either live up to his dad's, expectations or make his dad proud of him or, at least become an astronaut to find out what happened to his dad, maybe, which is kind of what he got with the Donald Sutherland character. And he got the mission briefing thing going on. But then he has to sneak back onto the rocket to go deep space. And it's interesting because they were trying to stop him he was like, look, I just want to get on here and go find my father.
Mm-hmm.
So he was, matter of fact, of course, the mission control was like, stop him at all costs. And
Right.
he's like, look, I don't want to hurt anybody. I just want to go and find my father.
Right.
And so then there was a whole thing, which it was really their fault
Yeah.
that they all died.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, look,
true.
I don't want to hurt anybody. I'm not going to cause any problems. I just want to be here to help find my father. So he was chilling. He was calm. He was talking to him like, look, I just want to be on this mission. And through their own stupidity, they kind of died. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, and he felt bad about it. You could tell he felt bad. He's like, wow, I really wish I hadn't have done that.
Yeah.
So then it was just him.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, you're kind of like, wow. Yeah. So I don't know. And then there was a lot of negative feedback of like, wow, there was a lot of guys in this movie, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, there was him.
Mm-hmm.
There were, like was it the governor of Mars was a female?
Yeah.
There were plenty of female characters. There was one of the mission people. There was a Japanese guy. There was a female there. And I'm like, okay, so the mission specialists weren't just all a bunch of white dudes. Now I will say, in terms of the man or the mission control or whatever, that would be kind of the I don't know, the patriarchy or whatever you
Right.
call it. Maybe, I guess, because it's space and the space NASA or whatever. They didn't really say that, but you can see that's kind of the controlling whatevers.
Right.
The powers that be, if you want to call it that, that's keeping him from doing what he wants to do. And he goes, well, no, I need to do this. And really, he was the only one who could. I don't really think that crew could have done it, especially since the guy couldn't land the doggone ship.
Exactly.
I mean, realistically
Exactly.
speaking, you're sending you're not sending, I don't know, mission commanders, astronauts, pilots, or whatnot, soldiers. You're sending payload specialists. You're sending a scientist that needs to
Exactly.
do this, and I just don't think they could have done it.
Yeah, and I'll agree with that.
Right. Because realistically speaking, these astronauts, they weren't a cargo frigate. They weren't soldiers. They weren't on like a space, destroyer or space battleship. They were cargo, man. They were flying a cargo flag on that.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll agree with that, and but like I said, at the same time, I do get why they suddenly didn't want to, because he went off script, because his heart rate was up because of what he said to his father, and I was
Right.
like, okay, I kind of get it. Like, you don't want him to go up there and bond and not do his job
Right.
out of,
Not be sort of corrupted by his father saying, "Well, you have to do this because of this reason." I mean, he saw his father.
Yes.
He realized his father was out of touch with reality. Of course,
Yes.
you deep space by yourself for 30 years. That probably would do
Yes.
it to you.
Yep.
And the spaceship was malfunctioning with some sort of fusion reactor or something. It was causing an electrical disturbance in the galaxy or in the solar system, rather. And he needed to stop that. And I think that the ultimate was basically he was out there to look for signs of alien life, but they'd never found any.
Exactly.
And he was as deep as any human had ever been. He was pretty much on the outer edges of the solar system, and he had a lot of scientific information to send out signals to get stuff back, and never got any kind of stuff back. Although his father was convinced that was the
he
deal.
wanted to believe it so bad that
Right.
he was willing to do some things that he really shouldn't have or whatever.
Right.
He had become illogical at that point.
He was he was just transfixed on, because like when he saw the like a magazine cover, it said, "Is there alien life out there?" He wrote, "Yes, yes, yes." And so he was kind of lost his objectivity, I guess, because I got to find it. I must find it. So he downloaded the stuff, and then he was going to take his dad back with the information, of course, and that whole thing. And I was like, that was the only big issue I had problem with the film, was because why would a guy agree to go with him and then just to fight him as he's trying to get back? And even if no offense, let's say you want to not go back, okay,
Right.
but why would you try to kill your son? Even if he didn't really know him that well, even if he's
Right.
kind of like, okay, I mean, he wasn't delusional, thinking he's like, you're not my son, you're
Right, right.
you're my imagination. But no, he realized that was his son. And he kind of understood that. So why would he try to kill him? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
not really like physically kill him, but like being in space and like shooting his rocket the wrong way, so he would
Exactly.
go out in deep space or something.
Exactly.
I'm like, yeah, that's a little weird.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but again, the visual of him using the rocket pack and the ship to kind of blast through the rings and just kind of hold the door up as the ice things are, that was a cool
Yes,
visual.
that was cool. Yeah.
And then to get back to his ship, which was kind of a rough landing there. So yeah, someone else was like, dang, that was kind of rough, man.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
So, I don't know. But I really enjoyed it in terms
Yes.
of being a 2001 like ish kind of Mysteries of the Universe. I think general sense of what you get from the movie of. I think they said it in the movie like, hey, there isn't any other life out there, so we've all we got, and so like that's kind of deep. So like maybe we should be a little nicer to folks or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that, and I like how the movie opened up, and it was just the way it was worded. It was just like, well, things are bad on Earth, so we're going out there to look for intelligent life.
Right.
I was like, well, because we can't have any rational conversation on Earth anymore. We're just going to go out here and start talking to the aliens. It's like, man, maybe y'all make some sense in this.
Right.
But I mean, I appreciate the movie. Like, it's a very, very good film, very well made film. But I do appreciate it on the basic level of like, this is just some guy with abandonment issues who finally gets to confront the thing that abandoned him.
Right.
And it's just like, I can't, you probably can't even count how many people would love to do that. Would love to just have that opportunity to
like if someone died when you're like a parent or somebody died, you never connected with them or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see that. In this case, he thought he was probably dead because he realistically probably should have been.
Exactly.
But somehow, I don't know. I guess he killed the people. The crew
he
who
killed
wanted
the
to come
crew
back
on board.
because they
Yeah,
were like, well, nothing, it's not working or nothing's going on here.
Because they weren't quote unquote dedicated to the mission enough. So, but yeah, I appreciated it on that just basic level. I'm like, this is a basic concept right here, and it's a real concept, and like they just took it and they could, like I said, they could have put it anywhere, but putting it in space actually just like it just added that cherry on top to do that, like just to add the more, like I said, adding more tension to it and stuff like that. Yeah, it was just, I appreciate it on that level a whole lot more,
Right.
Because I said, like, some of the best movies are just the simplest concepts,
Right.
just like, and I don't know, like, if the writer or anything, like, okay, are you writing this from some sort of experience, are you writing this from the heart? It felt like it was, but, it just depends,
Well, you were talking about they sent somebody out of deep space to find life because of why not look for meaning and whatever, like, oh, when I get along on Earth, let's go find aliens or something.
Yeah,
And
that's what it was. The way it was kind of worded, kind of like struck me like that. I was like, "Well, dang!"
Right.
And
it's really funny because I was thinking of that song from Monty Python's The Meaning of Life, where he sings about the universe. And I was trying to, I think it's called the Galaxy Song.
You're looking up the lyrics.
I was trying to real quick while you were talking, but yeah. At the end, he said something like, "How looking for, the meaning of life or something." Because here we go. Yeah, here we go. So the last line says something like. Says, and pray there's some intelligent life somewhere up in space because there's bugger down here on Earth. And I'm like, that's basically it.
That's basically
because there's bugger all down there on Earth. So yeah, that's basically, if you think about it, that's in a nutshell. The comedic version, obviously, but that's kind of what you're saying. It's like, hey, pray there's intelligent life somewhere up there because apparently people down here lost their mess. I mean, there's bugger all down here on Earth, according to Eric Idle from,
It's like Tommy Lee Jones just got tired. I was like, look, I'm tired of y'all.
Yeah, I'm just.
And he's like, no, we need to go back. I ain't going back there. I'm not going back.
He's the old guy. Get off my lawn. Get out of my space. This is my orbit. Get out of my orbit. So, but that's it. Just bugger all down here on Earth. So.
Oh man, but yeah, like I said, overall, great film.
Yeah.
Definitely.
If you like a character film, again, it's not a science fiction. It's more science fact. Because it's like near future, so people are living on the moon, people are living up in space and space station, the little antenna thing, and people are on Mars, like a little mini thing on, and there's some deep space kind of, like the research areas and whatnot. But yeah, for the most part, it's not spaceships and fighter ships and X-wing fighters and explosions and lasers and whatnot. It's interactive people study of hey. this is the deal. We're trying to find a meaning of life somewhere out there, but maybe it's just, hey, we got to figure ourselves out and figure out like, hey, we got to be nice to everybody because maybe that's all we got. I don't know. Maybe not. But right now, that's all we got.
That's right.
It's like it's like what was it? I heard Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson said they're talking about how they have space treaties to like you can't do this and that. There can't be weapons. It can't be aggression. You can't be this and this and this because all these space agencies and all the countries have agreed on it. He goes, let's try that on Earth first, though. I mean, because if we can figure that out and like, hey, let's do that in space. Why not do it here on Earth? Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, yeah, that's a good point.
Exactly.
Because here's the thing. What if we go into space and like, okay, now there's this new element. So now they're going to fight over, these new resources in space? Is that what's going to happen?
Exactly.
You have like Moonraker with the laser thing?
Yeah, which is what happened in Astra with the pirates and stuff, trying to steal resources.
On the moon, they're shooting at trying to steal resources. I'm like, yeah, that's probably not a good thing to do. But, I don't know. But I would think also at the same time is kind of like what he would, Neil deGrasse Tyson would say, it's probably not a bad idea to colonize the moon and Mars, at least, because you don't want all your eggs in one basket with every human being living on Earth in case a large asteroid does hit Earth, like it did with the dinosaurs, and kill almost everybody, or at least make it life really bad where a lot of people die, and then set the human race back, quite a bit to have to come back from that again. I could see that being an issue, or at least maybe create some kind of space platform where we could, monitor space, or at least several platforms you can monitor space to like, blast asteroids out of the way or something, or, if you see like a meteor or an asteroid coming, you're going to deflect it out of the way with, I don't know, push it, bump it, put rockets on it, push it over there somewhere. I don't know, make it crash into the sun or something. Yeah. Hopefully not on our side. We'll do a solar flare and blow us up or something.
Right.
But it's like try to do it, make it go that way or something.
Yeah.
Just so probably melt going into the sun or whatever. Who knows? But just try to do it scientifically, not just kind of like playing like a pinball or something. You're bumping it around, just hoping it doesn't hit you. I mean, they can track that nowadays, man. If you're going to send a rocket from here to and go study Pluto or something, it's going to take a while to get there. So you're going to slingshot around these planets to get to going really fast, like Voyager 1 and 2. You're going to slingshot it around the planets, get some pictures, get some readings, and just zip it. And then as it gets closer and picks up more speed, and it zooms out, into the deep space somewhere. So, but they could figure that out pretty easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you know what? Be nice to your neighbor and figure it out here.
Yep.
And then let's take it to there. I think that would be a good idea.
Exactly.
So, good job, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Good job.
All right. So
I reckon that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That is the show. It's a little short show for coming back, but it's okay. We will be back.
Yep.
Like I said, I will try to get Trey back because I definitely wanted Tim to
get his take on the Joker.
Yeah, get his take on the Joker.
Love that Joker.
So look for that. Also, expect us to be back in December to for that Star Wars thing. We do it because we love you.
We're gonna subvert your expectations on that one, probably. Now, again, I said this to him before. I was like, I think we're gonna see the Knights of Ren in this one, even though they weren't even mentioned in the second one at all.
Yep.
And briefly mentioned in the first one, like a blink. So yeah, I think we're gonna. And the only reason why I think that is because I've seen some toys coming out that had a couple of them in there. So it looks like, I guess since Rey's already beaten Kylo twice, you got to have something to make it more challenging for her to beat him again, even though we're 100% sure it's going to happen again anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's no surprise there. So I don't know.
Well, we will see.
Yeah. Can't wait.
I'm
so excited. I can't wait.
Either way.
But we did see a preview.
Yes.
And it does look like there's more characters in the movie.
Yep.
More. There's more. I don't know why.
Yeah. Probably so they can kill him again.
Because, I mean, I don't know. There's a whole thing about Rose's Tico character that apparently was in some stuff and then it was taken out of like some of the merchandise. That I don't know. Well, I guess to be continued. We'll find that out.
Yeah, we'll find out. But yeah, that's all we got for today, guys. We appreciate you listening. Appreciate you, William, being
I
on the
appreciate
show.
you as always. Yeah, man.
Always. So follow us on the social media. We're getting towards the end of the year, so we're going to start putting out some polls, figure out what you guys think is, what's your favorite movie for the year, So we're going to put some polls out, gauge the audience on that. We'll talk about it at the turn of the year. So,
Yes. 2020.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah.
Oh, man, that sounds funky.
I know, right? It's like that TV show, or what was it? A TV show? Was it like a new show?
It was a new show. 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
that does feel the future to me, though. I mean, again, it's like, because like 2019 was the original year for the Blade Runner movies.
That's right.
So
that's right.
That was when it was set, and so now it's like maybe 2020. It's like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like,
what was the hoverboard? Was that 20? and Back to the Future, what was that? 20?
I want to say it was 2015. I want to say I might be wrong about that.
Okay.
But yeah. So because that was in the 80s or something. So that would have been what, another
30 plus
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So where y'all at, man? Come on, like we got all this technology that we talked about in the movies. Well, where y'all at?
And my car can barely drive itself. Barely, man. I gotta drive it. What the heck? Come on, you're killing me here, man.
But like I said, follow us on the social media. Those links will be in the description down below if you're watching on YouTube or listening to us on SoundCloud or iTunes. Or if you're watching on the website, thank you very much. Those links are in the top right-hand corner. You'll see all of them. You'll see the Facebook, Twitter, and all that stuff. But yeah, follow us on there so you can take part in the polls and all other kinds of shenanigans. Keep up with what we're doing while we're on the break from, I guess, November to December till we talk about the what is it, the Rise of Skywalker or something like that.
Well, Skywalker's dead. So yeah, let's talk about that movie, The Rise of Skywalker, who's dead.
He's gonna come back as a zombie.
Yeah.
So
and Leia's character, who's technically a Skywalker,
yes,
because she's dead too.
Unfortunately,
but she's apparently in the movie for whatever and will die, I guess,
yeah,
or something. I don't know.
No idea.
But yeah, Rise of Skywalker when they're dead. That's a good title.
Yeah. Awesome. Good job, Disney.
I know. It's like, wow. They subverted our expectations right there. That's what they did. And if you're watching us on the videos or whatever, I'm sorry we look this way. I don't. That's how I was born, unfortunately.
Yeah. We deal with the hand that we're dealt. We're good.
That's true.
But you're beautiful. That's all that matters.
We love you. You're awesome. You're magnificent.
So like I said, thank you guys for tuning into The Real Cast on McBlam Entertainment, where we bring a little bit of enjoyment to your day every day. And for whatever time of day that you're listening to this, have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.